Hey guys and welcome back to my channel. This is part 1 of What If Naruto Got a Harem in Harry Potter. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also go and support the author, link in description. By a waterfall with 2 stone people, on one of them we see a blonde guy, his name is Naruto, and on the other one we find a guy with black hair and his name is Sasuke. Naruto said, "Come on Sasuke, let's head back to the village, don't make use force." Sasuke, who had an amused look, said, "As if you can dope," then charged his hand for a Chidori. Naruto, seeing he has no other reason, made a Rasengan, then both charged at each other. Sasuke punched right through Naruto's chest while Naruto lowered the power of the Rasengan at last minute and both landed in the water and the current pushed them to shore just as their sensei showed up, looked at both, then went straight to Sasuke. He picked him up then went to leave but stopped when Naruto said, "What are you doing Kakashi sensei, what about me?" Kakashi looked at the boy then said, "You are going to die now," then throw a kunai at Naruto then left. Naruto woke up in a room that was pure white. He looked around and saw a drop-dead gorgeous woman in a white dress looking at Naruto, and she said, "Greetings Naruto, you are not supposed to be here, but somehow I'm not surprised that you are here." Naruto looked at the woman and said, "So I really am dead anyway, who are you anyway?" The lady was surprised, said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I am the one you call Kami. Least to meet you Naruto-kun." Naruto eyes went wide, then he said, "So are you going to judge me then send me to hell?" Kami gave a little chuckle then said, "Not at all Naruto-kun, I am going to give you a second chance at life should you accept it, but the world will be different as you was the champion of light that your world needed and the world that you are going to if you accepted one doesn't have one." Naruto tilted his head slightly to one side and said, "What is this champion of light?" Kami said, "A champion of light is someone that is born time and time again in their own world when great threats arrive that disturbs the balance of the world." Naruto thought about it for a few minutes then asked, "If I do this, what are the difference?" Kami said, "Well, for starters, there is no chakra, but they do have a power that is similar to is called magic, and not everyone can use magic. There are several names that the wizards have for non-magical folks, so we are going to stick with muggles, okay?" When she saw Naruto nod, she continued, "And muggles don't believe in magic, but there are some that do, and that is because they have a family member that is a witch or a wizard, and the other main thing is this world is more advanced than your world." Naruto took a few moments to think it though, then said with conviction in his voice, "Okay, I will do it." Kami clamped her hands together and said, "Wonderful, now on to the important bits." Then she waved her hand, then next to Naruto a little fox with 10 tails appeared. The 10-tailed fox looked around, saw Naruto and said, "Hey kid, what is going here?" Naruto rubbed the back of his neck and said, "Well, here's the thing Kurama." Naruto then Kurama what Kami had told him, and that's about it. "Only you would get this type of offer," Kurama said, then turns to the goddess then said, "So what going to happen to me?" Kami lewd at the little fox then said, "Well, that is your decision Kurama." "Well then, if that's the case, I want to stay with the kid," Kurama said. "What if you come with me then? There is no way to get back, and I thought you wanted to go home and be with your Biju siblings," Naruto said. "And you were like a son to me. I might not have held you, but it was me you came to when you had problems, and I have watched you grow up." Kami, who had a smirk, said, "Oh Kurama, I am surprised you haven't noticed it yet." "Noticed what yet?" the 10-tailed fox said. Naruto took a long look at the fox, then noticed something, then said, "Kurama, you have 10 tails." Kurama looked behind him and saw that he indeed did have 10 tails, but before he could say anything, Kami said, "I know that you would choose to stay with Naruto, so when I summoned you I merged all the tailed beasts and made you the new 10-tailed, but unfortunately you won't be keeping the power as you world need the Biju to protect it in case something happens and the ninjas can't handle it as you Biju S or its guardians, and every world has something like this." Then she hold out her hands and in flash of light there was a lifeless dummy replica of Kurama. Then Kami waved her hand. And Kurama turned into a ball of light, and then it split in two. One went into the replica, then it disappeared, and the other one went into Naruto. And before Naruto could voice his concerns, the goddess continued, "Don't worry, I put 2 very special seals on the new guardian. One stops people trying to steal his chakra, and the other one prevents him being sealed." Naruto sighed, relived that the new guardian was never going to be sealed, then turned to Kami and said, "Okay, is that all Kami?" Kami said, "Not quite Naruto, first I am letting you use both magic and chakra." Then she held out both hands, and in a flash of light from both hands, in one hand there was a book and in the other there was a circle of light, and in the light there was 12 stones. Then Kami continued, "These are my gifts to you for the 2 reasons. The first is accepting this request and for staying true to yourself and not succumb to the darkness." She first hand him the book and says, "This book hold all the jutsus that your world has created to the moment you died, and I placed a spell on it so that when you touch it you will gain all the elements including the sub-elements that are Kekkei Genkai, and only you can touch it unless you hand it to them." Naruto then grabs the book, then it disappears and a book Kenji appears on his forearm. Then Kami continued, "Now these are powerful artifacts called talismans, and there are 12 and each one has its own power. The rooster talisman give you the power of levitation and telekinesis, the ox talisman gives you super strength, the snake talisman is the power of invisibility. Rabbit talisman grants you super speed. The sheep talisman's power is astral projection. The dragon talisman power is combustion. The rat talisman power is animation. The horse talisman grant you healing and regeneration. The monkey talisman power is shapeshifting. The dog talisman give you immortality and rejuvenation. The pig talisman grant you heat vision tiger. The talisman power is spiritual balance. Then the talismans went into Naruto. Cool, can't wait to try them out, Naruto said after a that can wait until you are reborn Naruto right now. I have two very important people that wants to meet you, Kami said, then steps to one side to reveal a blonde-haired man and a red-haired woman. Naruto looked at the two people and knew who they was and said, wait Kami, are you sure that the fourth Hokage and the Red Death wants to meet me? Kushina looked at Naruto shocked and said, didn't the Hokage tell you who we are Naruto? Naruto shocked his head and said, no, we learned who you two are in the academy. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, took on an army and won in a matter of minutes thanks to his flying thunder god technique, and you Kushina Uzumaki the red hot habanero because of your fiery anger that promised death to anyone that pissed you off. Minato looked at Naruto shocked and said, is that all Naruto? Which Naruto nodded. Then Minato said, you see Naruto, we are your parents. Shocking Naruto. After a few minutes, once he came out of his shock, he went up to his parents then hugged them. They talked for a long time mostly about Naruto's life, but eventually the happy family reunion had to come to an end. Kami came and said with a heavy heart, alright Naruto, time to go. Naruto looked over to his parents and said, well, goodbye mum dad, then left with Kami as they went to where they came from. Kami was looking around the wizarding world looking for a suitable couple for Naruto. Then she found James and Lily Potter, who looked devastated, so she went over and said, hello, is everything alright? Lily looked at the goddess not sure whether or not to trust her, but there was something in the back of her mind saying to tell her, so she said, just came from the doctors for some test and it turns out I cannot get pregnant. Kami then said, I have a solution about your problem, so how about we go somewhere more private? Getting a nod from the two wizards, then the trio left. When the trio got to the Potter estate, James looked at Kami, then grabbed his wand, points it at Kami and said, alright, who are you? Don't casually walk up to someone and ask them for what is wrong, then say you have a solution to something when the wizard doctors can't do it. Kami just chuckled then says, you're right James, the first didn't just do that out of chance, I chose you, and I mean what I said, I do have the solution to your baby problem. Lily looks over and says, what do you mean by you chose us and who are you miss? Kami sits down and says, simple put, I am Kami and I have chosen you to rise a special boy who deserves a second chance. Lily thought for a moment then asks, before we decide can we please see a glimpse of his life? Kami grant Lily her request after showing them a day. James lowers his wand then says, we accepts it Kami. Kami nods her head and says, good, but you cannot tell anyone who and what Naruto really was, and Lily and James agreed to it. Time skip. It is Halloween and it is the middle of the night in some street when the lights started to go out. When all the light was out, an elderly man walked out and started to wait. Then he heard a meow, looked over to where the cat was, then said, should have known you would be here, Professor McGonagall. The cat then transformed into an elderly woman who said, hi Professor Dumbledore, are the rumors true? Yes, they are true, the good and the bad, Dumbledore replied. And what of the boy? McGonagall asked. Hagrid is bring him, Dumbledore replied. You think it is wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this? Asked McGonagall. Ah, I trust Hagrid with my life, Dumbledore replied. Then they heard a sound from behind them. They both looked and saw a light from a motorbike coming and descending towards them. The bike landed and stopped in front of them, and the rider got of and he was taller than them, and he said, Professor Dumbledore, Sir Professor McGonagall. Any problems, Hagrid? Dumbledore asked. No sir, the little fella fell asleep as we was flying over Bristol, then hands him over to Dumbledore. As Dumbledore held the boy, looked up at Hagrid who had tears in his eyes, said, now Hagrid, no need to cry, you will see him again. Dumbledore walks to a house. McGonagall following said, are you sure it is wise leaving him here? I have watched them all day, they are the worst kind of muggles, they really are. The only family he has left, Dumbledore interrupted McGonagall. The boy is going to be famous, there won't be a child who won't know his name, McGonagall stated. All the more reason he is better off here and growing up in the muggle world until he is ready, Dumbledore said. Then he put the baby on the doorstep, then placed a letter on him, then said, good luck Naruto Potter. Time skip. Naruto wake up to his aunt banging in the door to his bedroom that was located under the stairs and saying, get up, then unlocks the door, then says, now. Then she bangs it one more time, the walks of. As Naruto quickly got ready, his overweight cousin came down the stairs in a hurry, then stop and bangs one of the steps while shouting, wake up cousin, we're going to the zoo. Then run down the steps, then he pushes Naruto back into the cupboard. When Naruto got into the kitchen, his aunt said with stern tone, finish cooking the breakfast and don't burn it. Naruto rolled his eyes and said with a mock polite tone, of course ma'am. Petunia glared at him and said, watch the tone boy, then take Dudley into the living room. Not giving Naruto time to dish up, his uncle was saying, Hurry up boy, where is my coffee? Coming uncle. Naruto replied. Dudley, who saw the amount of presents, turned to Vernon and asked, how many are there? You have 35 presents this year Dudley my boy, Vernon said proudly. Dudley, who did not like the answer, shouted, I have 35 this year but last year I got 36 inches. While Naruto was pouring his uncle's coffee, rolled his eyes and thought, spoilt bastard. Ah yes, but you see some of the presents are bigger the last years, Vernon tried to calm his son. I don't care if some of them are bigger, Dudley shouted. Petunia came up behind Dudley and said, how about we get 2 more presents at the zoo Dudley? Dudley agreed. Then the Dursleys had their and left Naruto only scraps. Then when Naruto was about to enter the car, Vernon closed it and said, now boy, you listen and listen good, there will be no funny stuff or you will not eat anything for the remainder of the week, understood? Yes sir, Naruto replied. Then Vernon walked to the driver's side and Naruto got in the car. At the zoo the Dursleys was looking at a snake and Dudley and Vernon was trying to move, then got bored and the Dursleys moved along but Naruto stayed and talked to the snake. Sorry about the dumbasses, I called my relatives, I think they should be behind this glass, not you. Snake raised its head and said, Tilda, that was funny speaker Tilda, surprising Naruto. Naruto with wide eyes said, okay, I am now talking and understanding a snake, cool, so what is a speaker? The snake said, you have an extremely rare magical ability that gives you the ability understand and talk to snakes and the ability is called parseltonge Tilda. Before Naruto could chat with the snake, Dudley rushed over, shoving Naruto out the way. Then Naruto glared at his cousin, then as if by magic the glass disappeared, causing Dudley to fall in the snake pen and the snake slivered out. When the snake was out he looked at Naruto and said, Tilda, thank you speaker Tilda. Not a problem, Naruto said. Then the snake slivered away causing havoc. When a wet Dudley tried to get out the pen only to find the glass was back, Naruto snickered at the panic look that his aunt and uncle had. When everyone was back, Vernon, who had a tight grip on Naruto, asked, what the bloody hell happened there? Naruto, used to pain because of his past life, said, I have no idea, one moment it was there, the next it was gone like magic. Vernon then shoved Naruto in the cupboard bedroom. The said, there is no such thing as magic. When Naruto was let back out he went to pick up the mail, looking though the notice that one of them was addressed to him. He handed the rest to his uncle, started to open it when Dudley snatched it and said, hey dad, Naruto has a letter. Hey, that letter is mine, you don't see me snatching yours, Naruto said, a little peeved about having his first letter taken. Nonsense boy, who would send? Vernon said, then shut up when he saw who it was from, then burnt the letter. For the rest of the week Naruto kept on getting the letters, but his aunt and uncle kept on destroying them. On Sunday morning, and Vernon, who was sitting in a chair, said with a bit of glee, fine day Sunday, the only good day of the week. And do you know why? Dudley said. Boy just shrugged before Vernon said, that is because there is no post on Sunday and so there will not be a single letter coming in this house. And as if by karma a single letter shot out of the fireplace and past Vernon's face. Then there was a rumble, then tons and tons of the fireplace. Naruto quickly grabbed one, then run to his room, but Vernon was in hot pursuit and grabbed Naruto before he entered his room. Then he shouted, that is, we are moving to a place where they can never find us. A few days later, in an old wooden house, everyone but Naruto was asleep and Naruto was sleeping on the dusty floor drawing a cake with 11 candles. He looked at Dudley's watch that just stroked midnight on 31st of July. He looked at the cake and said, well, might not be a proper cake, but beggars can't be choosers, so make a wish. Then he blow the cake. Well kid, happy birthday, came Kurama voice. So when are we getting a magic letter? Thanks, Kurama, and you and I have been getting the letters all week, but the assholes have been destroying them. And before anyone could, there was knocking at the door. Vernon and Petunia came down while Vernon was holding a shotgun. Then the door fell and in the door was 2 people. One was Professor McGonagall and the other was Hagrid. They walked in and Hagrid said, sorry about that. He put the door back while McGonagall went up to Naruto. Vernon said, leave this place now as you are breaking and entering. Hagrid, not liking Vernon's attitude, walked up to Vernon and said, dry up Dursley, you great prune, then bent the gun up and Vernon, scared, accidentally pulled the trigger. McGonagall was talking to Naruto. Hello Naruto, how are you? I have been good, Professor McGonagall, Naruto replied. McGonagall was shocked, said, how do you know me? We have only met once, and you was a baby, Naruto. Naruto not sure what to do, but Kurama said, tell her Naruto she was the only one concerned about leaving you with your assholes relatives. Okay, thanks Kurama. Naruto thought, then turned his attention back to McGonagall, then said, I will tell you Professor, but only you, as I feel I can only trust you. McGonagall then nodded and took out her wand, then waved it, causing everyone but herself and Naruto to collapse asleep. Then Naruto told her everything, from having both his memories and powers from his past life to the power that Kami gave him to being a Jinchuriki. Shocked by what she had been told, the professor raised her wand and said, I, Minerva McGonagall, swear on my magic not to tell anyone what I have learned and will learn from Naruto Potter. You know you didn't have to do that, right? Naruto said. I know I didn't have, I wanted to just to show you your trust in me isn't misplaced. Now shall we go? Naruto said. McGonagall replied. Sure, But wouldn't it be an idea to wake up Hagrid? Naruto said. McGonagall nodded, then waved her wand and Hagrid woke up, and before he could say anything about the sleep spell the professor said, I am sorry about that, Hagrid, but Naruto wanted to tell me in private. He will tell you when he is ready. Now then, let's go and get Naruto ready for Hogwarts. Hagrid, understanding, just nodded, then left with Naruto and McGonagall. It has been a couple days later since Professor McGonagall and Hagrid came to pick Naruto to get him ready for Hogwarts, and the trio are in London when Naruto turned to Professor McGonagall and to ask, Hey Professor M, where are we going? Minerva looked at Naruto and said, We are going to meet a family whose daughter is also starting this year. Then we will be going to Diagon Alley to get the stuff for school year. After going into a pub, the barkeeper said, Hey Hagrid, you want the usual? Not right now, I am accompanying Professor McGonagall on Hogwarts business. Speaking of which, is there a muggle family called Granger? Hagrid replied. The barkeeper took a moment to think, said, Yes, they are in the corner. Minerva said, Thank you, to the barkeeper, then went over to the corner, said to the family, Greeting, are you the Granger family with the muggle-born daughter? The father said, Yes, that is us, pleased to meet. Now then, shall we go? Minerva asked, getting a nod from everyone. Then she led them to the back. While heading to back, Naruto noticed the daughter was a bit nervous, so he went up to her and said, Hi, my name is Naruto, what's yours? The girl nervously looked at Naruto and said, My name is Hermione Granger. Well, Hermione, why so nervous? Naruto asked. Just nerves because of this whole new world, as I never had too many friends because I am always wanting to learn, Hermione replied. At this, Naruto get a mischievous look and whispered in her ear, but loud enough for the adults to hear, Sweet, now I know who to come to cheat on my homework, getting a chuckle from her parents and Hagrid. Minerva was about to scold Naruto, but noticed he was joking about to ease Hermione's nerves, and when the group got to a wall, Minerva took her wand and hit a few bricks. Once she was done, the bricks opened up and Minerva said, Welcome to Diagon Alley, the first stop we go to is Gringotts. They went into Gringotts and headed to the head cashier. The cashier looked up and said in a gruff voice, Hello, I am Snapfist, how may I help you? Minerva said, Yes, I need to make 2 stop. 1 is to Hogwarts Vault to help Miss Granger here, and Mr. would like to make a withdrew. The goblin looked over the counter, it looked at the blonde, then looked at Minerva and said, Of course, but we need him to take a blood test, and if he is who he is, does he have his key? Cool, I get to take a magic blood test, said an excited Naruto. Then a second later calmed down and looked at the goblin and asked, And how does that work, and also what key? I have his key because his parents trusted me enough, Minerva said as she reached into her pocket to get the key. Then she turned to Hagrid and said, Hagrid, as I will be with Mr. Potter taking the blood test, can you get the money for the Hermione? Naruto and Minerva followed Snapfist to a private meeting room. Once everyone was sitting at the desk, Snapfist went down one of the drawers and placed a sheet of paper and a knife on the table, then said, Now Mr. Potter, I need you to place a few drops of blood on this paper, then it will tell us who you say you are. Okay. Naruto said, then grabbed the knife and sliced the tip of his finger. But will the horse talisman not to activate once the test had the necessary blood? He let the talisman activate. Once Snapfist was done reading the test, he excluded himself by saying, Excuse one sec, but I need to get the director of Gringotts. Naruto, curious what his test said, asked, Is there a problem? Snapfist replied, No, well, yes, there are a couple of problems, but we can easily set them straight. Then he went out of the office. Naruto looked at Minerva and asked, So what do you think is going on? No clue, but whatever it is, it's get to be big for him to get the director, Minerva replied. Then she remembered something, then said, Naruto, you never said what the powers of the talisman, so mind telling me while we wait? Naruto thought for a moment, then said, You're right, I never did. Okay, I'll tell you their powers. The rooster talisman is levitation and telekinesis. The ox talisman is super strength. The snake talisman is invisibility. Rabbit talisman is super speed. The sheep talisman is astral projection. The dragon talisman is combustion. The rat talisman is animation. The horse talisman is healing and regeneration. The monkey talisman is shapeshifting into any kind of animal in the known animal kingdom as the Muggle world. The dog talisman is immortality and rejuvenation. The pig talisman is you heat vision tiger. The talisman is spiritual balance, and that is all. Minerva was shocked but snapped out of it quickly, then said, Well, that's some power you've got, and that is not including your chakra. Before either one could say anything, the door opened and Snapfist came in, followed by another goblin, and the latter said, Greeting Mr. Potter and Professor McGonagall, I am the director of Gringotts, and my name is Ragnarok. Naruto walked up to the director and said, It's nice to meet you, and I don't mean to be rude, but what the heck is going on? Ragnarok gave Naruto the paper with the test results and said, Best you see for yourself. Name: Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Potter. D.O.B. The 10th of October 1555, D.U., the 31st of July 2005 current. Father: Minato Namikaze, D.U., James Potter current. Mother: Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, D.U., Lily Evans Potter current. Godfather: Jiraiya, D.U., Sirius Black current. Heir by inheritance: House Uzumaki, D.U., Namikaze, D.U., House Potter. House Peverell, House Gryffindor, House Hufflepuff, House Ravenclaw. Heir by conquest. House Slytherin. Inheritance. Potter Vault, Peverell Vault, Gryffindor Vault, Hufflepuff Vault, Ravenclaw Vault, Slytherin Vault, Hogwarts School, by all finders' wills. Magical potential. Blocked by APWBD. Naruto handed the results to Minerva and asked Ragnarok, what does that mean? What it means, Mr. Potter, is that your potential has been blocked by Albus Dumbledore, stated Ragnarok before saying. It also means that you are the rightful heir to 6 houses and 4 of which are the founders of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and so stated in the wills of 1 Godric Gryffindor, 1 Helga Hufflepuff, 1 Rowena Ravenclaw and 1 Salazar Slytherin. Should someone inherits all 4 founders' houses, they inherits Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, but to rightfully inherit it 2 conditions must be met. The first condition stats the person must attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and the second condition is they must keep the open but you cannot take the seat of Wizengamot and the main vaults until you are of age at 17, but you have you trust vault. Cool, and I don't think that the 2 conditions will be a problem, as I am going to attend said school starting this year and I have no problems keeping the school open for future generations, Naruto said. Ragnarok nodded, the sent Snapfist of to get the deed to Hogwarts, then turned to Naruto and asked, now Mr. Potter, can you please explain to me why you have 2 names in the mother and father? Okay, I can trust you, but you can't tell anyone or else, Naruto stated with a glow and smoke coming out his mouth and a glowing eyes. Ragnarok, not one to be intimidated easily, was downright scared of the 11-year-old boy in front of him, so he nodded. Okay, then you see, I am originally from a completely different universe, hence why there are 2 sets of names in the DU, and the reason I am here is because Kami gave me a second chance, but I must become a champion of light. Ragnarok took a moment to process what he just heard, then asked, what is a champion of light? A champion is someone that is decided by the gods to protect the world when the balance is off. Naruto replied, then asked, hey, how can I get rid of the blocker that Albus placed on me? We can remove it for you, but it will cost you. Ragnarok replied as Snapfist came in with the deed and handed it to Naruto. That's fine, let's go, and withdrew some money and then get rid of the blockers, Naruto said. Nice, then I will have it ready for when you come back. Now Snapfist, please take Mr. Potter to his vault, Ragnarok said. After a little they came back, and true to Ragnarok's word, everything was set up to remove the blockers in Naruto, so Naruto paid the goblin and entered the room, and 5 minutes Naruto came out. Then he and Minerva went to meet Hagrid and the Grangers outside the bank. Hagrid first noticed them and said, what took you so long, Professor McGonagall? Minerva sighed and said, there was a bit of a problem, but it has been sorted. Then looks at Naruto and Hermione. Now then, let's get your school stuff. A few hours later the group was almost finished, as Hermione said, now just need wands. Well then, let's head over to Ollivander's, as there is no place better, Hagrid said. When they went in, they was met the owner, who said, I was wondering when I would be seeing you, Mr. Potter. I am Ollivander. Nice to meet you too. Naruto shook his hand. Ollivander smiled, then went to a desk while saying, now then, let's get you both a wand, shall we? So who is first? Without hesitation Naruto said, ladies first. Ollivander smiled and said, my, what a gentleman. After sorting Hermione with her wand he moved to Naruto, but none of the wand Naruto tried weren't capable. Then Ollivander thought for a moment, then mumbled, I wonder. Then he went into the back. Shortly he came out holding a majestic looking box, then took the lid of, then turned the handle to Naruto, who picked it up, and there was a soft breeze and the lamp started to flicker. When it Ollivander said, yoicks. Naruto looked at the wandmaker and asked, is everything all right, old man? Ollivander looked at Naruto and said, you are very lucky, Naruto, and your magic potential is unlike I have ever seen. What do you mean by that? Hermione asked. What I mean is that, young miss, is that no one know where or who made that wand was made, and we all had agreed on a few things. One of thing is the core is a phoenix feather, but not a normal phoenix but a blue one, and we don't know what type of wood was used, so we believe the wood is from a mythical tree, Ollivander explained, leaving 3 people with their jaws unhinged. When the 3 people picked their jaws up, Naruto and Hermione paid for the wands and a maintenance kit. The group was heading out when Naruto felt something like a pull. When Minerva noticed Naruto and asked, are you alright, Naruto? Naruto looked at Minerva and said, I'm fine, Professor, just want to need to go in there. Then point to a pet shop. Minerva looks at the pet store, then looks back at Naruto and asked, why is that, Naruto? Not sure, Professor, but I feel some kind of pull pulling me there, Naruto replied, getting a nod from the professor. Minerva looks at Hagrid and says, looks like we have one more place to go. All right, Professor, Hagrid replied. When the group went into the pet store, Hermione and her parents went to look at the cats, with Hagrid accompanying them. Meanwhile Naruto was looking for whatever is giving him a tug. After some time he found what was tugging him, and it was an egg, so he picked it and took a closer look at the egg, which was royal blue with darker blue flames at the base. Seeing the egg, Naruto looked to at Minerva and said, hey Professor, I found it, do you know what this egg is? Minerva gentle took the egg and looked at it, then said, I don't know, but Hagrid might know, then shouted, Hagrid, please come here. Once Hagrid walked over, he said, what can I do for ya, Professor? Minerva gave Hagrid the egg and said, "Do you know what this egg is?" Hagrid took a look at the egg and after a few minutes of looking he handed the egg back to the professor and said, "Sorry professor, but I don't know what kind egg this is." "That's okay Hagrid," said the professor, took the egg and gave it back to Naruto. Naruto was heading to the cashier, saw Hermione cuddling a ginger kitten, then smirked when he got to the till and saw a middle-aged woman and said, "Hello, I would like to pay for this egg." "Of course, sir," the cashier said. Once Naruto had paid for the egg, the cashier said, "Is that all, sir?" Naruto took his signature grin and said, "Yes, I would like to buy the ginger kitten the ginger is playing with along with everything to take care of it. Then can you please give it back to the girl, but don't tell her that I am the one buying it for her until you hand the kitten back to her, okay?" Then paid for everything for the kitten, then went over to Minerva and said, "Hey professor, I am all done here, so I am going to wait outside and wait to see the look on Hermione when she realized that I just pranked her." "What do you mean by that, Potter?" asked that professor. "Tell you outside," Naruto replied. Then Hagrid and Minerva went outside before Naruto continued, "You know the kitten that Hermione was playing with?" Gaining 2 nods. "Well, I brought it and going to give it to her as a thank you gift for being my first friend." Meanwhile the lady went over to Hermione and said, "Excuse me miss, but someone would like to buy the kitten." With a sad look Hermione gave the kitten to the lady. Few minutes the lady walked back over to Hermione and gave her a box and the lady said, "Here you go miss." Hermione looked in the box and was surprised to find the kitten that she was just playing with. She looks at the store owner and her mother said, "But I thought someone paid for him." The lady looked at Hermione and said, "Somebody did, and I was instructed to give the kitten to you, and it was Naruto that paid for him." Hermione was surprised by this, walked over to Naruto and gave him a hug and said, "Thank you," then gave him a light punch, then said, "That was for what you just did. And if I told you that I got you the kitten then it wouldn't have been a surprise," Naruto replied. "Fine, you win Naruto," Hermione said pouting. Minerva clapped her hands gaining the 2 soon-to-be students and said, "Okay, we are done now, take these and don't lose these." She then handed both of them a ticket then said, "Be there at the end of the month," then took Naruto to the Dursleys while the Grangers went their own way. Time skip. Naruto is in King's Cross Station wondering how to get to platform 9 3/4 and was about to use his sheep talisman to look around and let Kurama take over when he heard, "It's the same each year packed with muggles." Looks around and sees a woman holding a girl that looks 9 or 10 followed by 4 boys. The oldest one looked like he was 16 or 17, then next 2 looked like they was twins and the last one was his age. The mother says, "Platform 9 3/4 this way," so Naruto decided to follow them. When they came up to a pillar the mother turns to the boys and says, "Percy, you first." The oldest looking boy walked right up to the pillar and walked thought it, then the mother turns back to the boys and said, "Fred, you next." One of the twins said, "His not Fred, I am." The other twin said, "Honestly woman, you call yourself our mother." The mother said, "Oh sorry George." As George walked past his mother, he turned to her and said, "Just kidding, I am Fred." Then he run, and the proper George was close behind. Naruto thought, "Think I will get along with those two? What do you think, Kurama? Just don't invite them in here, I can just handle 1 moron, I don't think I can do handle 3. Kurama replied. Both chuckled. Once the last boy was through, Naruto went through the barrier. Once Naruto placed his luggage minus the mysterious blue egg in the cargo car, he went and found an empty booth. He set the egg on the table and sat down and unsealed a chakra book about sealing. After about an hour after the train left the station there was a knock. Naruto looked up and saw the boy that was outside the barrier who said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I join you? Everywhere else is full." "Sure, there is more than enough," Naruto replied, then went back to his book. Once the boy sat down, he said, "Nice to meet you, I'm Ron Weasley." Naruto looked up from his book and said, "Nice to meet you to Ron, I'm Naruto." "Naruto, are you Naruto Potter?" Ron asked, gaining a nod from Naruto before continuing, "Blimey, so is it true?" "That all depends on what it is," Naruto replied. "Do you really have the scar?" Ron asked. "That is true," Naruto said. After a while Naruto was munching on some sweets that he had brought and offered some to Ron, which he accepted and gave some to a rat. When Ron noticed Naruto looking at the rat he said, "Oh, this is Scabbers and he has been in the family for years, and get this, George taught me a spell to turn him yellow." Then he got his wand out. Naruto remembered the George pranking his mother with his twin and thought, "Hey Kurama, how much do you want to bet that the spell is a dud?" "With your luck kit, that's a sucker's bet," replied the 10 tails. Just before Ron could do the spell they heard, "Excuse me," from the door. Naruto looked up and saw Hermione. "Hey, Hermione, how have you been?" Naruto asked. "Hey, Naruto, I've been good thanks," Hermione replied. "So, what do you need, or did you just decided you couldn't wait till we get settled in before you came looking for me?" Naruto asked. Hermione looked confused for a moment then remembered what she was doing. "Right, have any of you two seen a toad? A boy named Neville has lost his." Naruto remembered his summoning with the toad's thought to Kurama. "Hey Kurama, do you think it's possible to summon a summoned toad?" It might be possible, kid, as the summoning jutsu is a space-time jutsu, so here is what I suggest you do. Firstly, settle in, then talk to Professor McGonagall and ask her if you could use a large bit of space, Kurama replied. Will do, Naruto thought, then turned his attention back to Hermione and said, sorry Hermione, but I haven't seen a toad. Oh okay. Hermione said before noticing Ron had his wand out and said, I see you're about to do a spell, mind if I see it? Ron just shrugged, then coughed and said, Sunshine Daisy's butter mellow turned this stupid fat rat yellow, but nothing happened to the rat. Naruto, trying hard not to laugh, said, sorry to tell you this, but you are a moron, as the spell might be a dud, and I saw the prank they did to their mother this morning and knew they were like me. Not liking being called stupid, Ron said in a harsh tone, and what are you? Ignoring Ron's tone, Naruto said with pride in his voice, I am a prankster. Before anyone could say or do anything, they heard a cracking sound and looked at the egg that is on the table and saw Blue Bird's head poking out of the egg, and Naruto carefully broke and removed the eggshells, saw it was a boy and him Zazu, and decided to show Professor McGonagall tomorrow, then said, well, better put this little fella with Hedwig and change. Then turned to Hermione and said, don't you have something to do, Hermione? Hermione went back to Neville to inform him that no one has seen his toad. When then train stopped, Naruto heard Hagrid's voice saying, first years of the train first and step over here. And when all the first years was the train, Hagrid said, all right, this way please. Then he lead them to boats and said, all right, no more the four to a boat. When all the boats was full, the boats began to move on their own and was heading to a castle. When they got to the castle, they was met with Professor McGonagall, and Hagrid said, here you go, Professor, the first years. Professor McGonagall looked at Hagrid and said, thank you, Hagrid, then turned to the first years and said, okay students, welcome to Hogwarts. I am the deputy headmistress and teacher of charms, Professor McGonagall, please follow me. Then she lead them up a few flights of stairs into a set of doors and stopped, then turned to the students and said, in just a moment you will join you classmates that just behind these doors, but first you will need to be sorted into one of 4 houses. Before the professor could say anything else, there was a croak, then someone shouted, Trevor, then went to pick up the toad, got the toad in hand, looked up and said, sorry professor. The houses are there: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw and Slytherin. Now I will see if they are ready. Then went into the hall and closed the doors. The moment the doors closed, a white-haired boy walked over to Naruto and said, well, looks like the rumors on the train are true. Naruto Potter has come to Hogwarts. Everyone was murmuring, and Naruto, being the Joker, was looking around, said, really, Naruto Potter here now? Where is he? After looking around a few times, he looked at the boy and said, so what can I do for you, scaredy cat? I'm Malfoy, Draco Malfoy. Malfoy said. Nice to meet you, 007 wannabe. I am Naruto. Naruto said, getting a chuckle from some of the Muggle-born and the half-bloods. Not liking being made fun of, Draco said, and here I was going to offer you some guidance on people to befriend, then offers Naruto a hand. Naruto looked at Draco and said, well, thanks for the offer, Malfoy, but I am pretty sure I am capable of doing that myself. Before Draco could say anything, Professor McGonagall came up and tapped him on the shoulder, and Draco went back where he was. Then the professor said, the sorting ceremony is ready, but first the houses will be like your family. Any triumphs will get you gain you points, and any rule breaking you will lose points, and at the end of the school year the house with the most points will win the house cup. Now come. Then the professor led the new students into the main hall. Along the way, Naruto heard Hermione says, I read in Hogwarts a history that the roof is actually just enchanted to mimic it the sky. When everyone was in front of the teacher's table, Minerva said, all right, gather round. When I say your name you will take a sit on the stall, and I shall place the sorting hat and it will sort you into your house. After a while the professor said, Naruto Potter. Naruto walks up to the stall and sits down on it, and the professor places the hat on Naruto and says, well now ain't this a surprise? It's very rare I get someone whose mind I can't get into. Sorry about that, I will try and get my mind open for you. Naruto whispers to the hat, then he thinks, hey Kurama, mind letting the hat do its job? After a few moments the Ten Tails replies, alright, but it better put you in the house that represent your ninja way. Thanks, and you might be able to do that yourself. Naruto thought, then he whispers, now you should be able to do your job. Well now isn't this a surprise? Your potently is greater than any I've ever met, and what's this? You have something that is bound to your very soul, and you were reincarnated as a champion, and as for your toads, I am pretty sure that you can do it. Now then, which house should I put you in? The hat says. You better put him in a house that has honor, or else I will take that kid over every night and hunt you, and when I do, I will rip you to shreds, says the fox. The sorting hat, scared, says, well then fox, since you put it nicely it better be Gryffindor. And with that said, McGonagall took the hat off Naruto and he heads to the Gryffindor table. Along the way Naruto says to the fox, was that really necessary, Kurama? And we both know that you wouldn't have done that. The fox chuckles and says, that may be true, but that piece of enchanted cloth doesn't know that. Before long all the new student was placed. The headmaster stood up and said, Now before we begin the feast, I have a few announcement to make to the first years the Dark Forest, and our very caretaker Mr. Filch has reminded me that the right-hand side on the third floor is out of bounds. Now let the welcoming feast begin. A few hours later the Gryffindor was being led into the common room by a prefect who said, "Now then, I am Percy Weasley, and the rooms are the boys are up the stairs down and to the left, and the girls are the same but to the right." Then he just walks off. Naruto, wanting to talk to Professor McGonagall, goes out and looks for her, but just he was almost out when Ron asked, "Hey mate, where are you going?" Naruto looks at Ron and says, "I need to talk to Professor McGonagall real quick," then goes out the doorway, then activate his rabbit talisman, then starts to run around the school, and after a couple of minutes he sees her, then stops a few meters in front of her, turn to her and says, "Hey Professor." "What can I do for you, Mr. Potter?" asked the professor. "Yes, is there a small field where I can try a jutsu?" Naruto asked. Minerva looked at Naruto and said in a warning tone, "What kind of jutsu?" Naruto, catching the tone, said, "Don't worry, it isn't a dangerous properly, it's just a summoning type, so as long as I don't summon a big one it should be alright." The professor raised an eyebrow and asked, "Why do you think that it will work?" "Well, according to Kurama it a space-time type jutsu, so I was wondering if I could summon them, and if I can talk to people from my original universe," Naruto replied with a downcast look. The professor saw the look and knew and said, "Alright, I can take to a decent area. After all, I am curious about this summons and what animal it is, so does this weekend sound good? That way it give you a couple of days to settle down and you can get it done before lessons start on Monday." "Cool, thanks professor, see you in a few days," Naruto said. "Now run back to the common room and get some rest," Minerva said. Naruto was about to activate the rabbit talisman, remembered something, turns to the professor and said, "Oh yes professor, the egg hatch on the train, so mind if I bring him to you in the morning?" "Sure. Naruto, meet me in front of the main hall, say about 11 in the morning?" asked the professor. Asked and Naruto nodded. Then the professor said, "Now up to bed." Naruto then activated the rabbit talisman, then speed to the Gryffindor common room, and the professor walked to her room. Time skip the next morning. Naruto was in the Gryffindor common room heading out with Zazu, who was in a spear cage brought to meet up with Minerva, when he heard, "Hey Naruto, where are you going?" Naruto turns around and sees the boy that lost his toad and said, "Hey, Neville, right?" Neville nodded and said, "That's right. Just heading to the hall to meet Professor McGonagall to find out what kind of bird Zazu is," Naruto said while showing Neville the blue bird, then had a thought, then said, "Hey Nev, why don't you come with me?" "You don't mind?" asked a surprised Neville. "Nah, I don't mind, otherwise I wouldn't have asked," Naruto said. "Thank you, Naruto, I was wondering what kind of bird it is," Neville said. And with that both boys left the common room and headed to the hall to meet Professor McGonagall, and when they both got there they saw that said professor was already there, and Naruto said, "Hey professor, sorry for keeping you waiting. I decided to invite Neville as he was wondering what kind of bird Zazu is and he seemed to need a friend." "Afternoon Potter, and to you to Longbottom, and that was a nice gesture Naruto. We are going to see Hagrid, as I am still sure he will know what kind of bird it is," said the professor. Then the trio walked to Hagrid's hut, and they got there the professor knocked. When Hagrid answered the door and saw the professor and the two boys, he said, "Greeting Naruto, Professor McGonagall, what bring you lot to my little hut, and please come on in, just about to make some tea, would aunt of you like some?" While stepping aside, catching a glimpse of the bird in the cage, then said, "Hey Naruto, did that bird come from the egg you brought? We was in Diagon Alley." Naruto holds Zazu up for the half giant to see and says, "Yeah it is, and that is why we are here, to see if you can name what kind of bird it is." Hagrid took a closer look at the bird, and after a few minutes he said, "Well Naruto, I do believe you have a very rare phoenix, a blue phoenix, and this kind of phoenix is said to have two kind of elemental powers, one of which is blue fire, which is hotter than any flame, and ice, which is said to be so cold that it is at absolute zero." After hearing this everyone was shocked but was broken out when Naruto said, "Sweet, that is awesome, so any take on how to keep one healthy?" And for the next hour or so everyone was chatting about various things, and the professor had already left to sort out her classes for the following week. Time skip the weekend. Naruto was eating lunch when Professor McGonagall walked and said, "You ready, Potter?" "Been ready for a couple of days, Professor," Naruto said with excitement in voice as he jumps out of his seat. Ron, wondering what's going on, asked, "Hey mate, what's going on?" Naruto looks at Ron and said, "I will properly tell you one day, Ron." Then he walks out of the hall, then he stops and waits for the professor. Once she passes, follows her. While they walked, Naruto thought, "Hey Kurama, what do you think of Ron? I get the feeling that he might be a shallow friend. If you want my honest opinion, Kit, he doesn't seem to be the brightest person, and you can do better than him as a friend, as I am getting some mild negative emotions from him. And when I say you can do better, I mean like that Neville boy. True, all the oi needs is some confidence, or the Granger girl that you seemed fond of," replied the ten-tailed with a teasing tone towards the end. "So I become friends with Neville and Hermione and give Ron a trial run?" Naruto asked, missing the tone. Kurama took a few moments to think and said, "Sounds like a plan." After a few more minutes of walking, both professor and student came to a clearing and the professor said to Naruto, "Is this big enough for you, Naruto?" Naruto looked around and said, "Yes, it is." Then he walks a far bit from the professor, then thinks, "Dear Kami, I hope this works." Then does the hand signs for summoning and said summoning jutsu. Then there was a puff of smoke, and when it cleared there stood an orange toad with purple markings around his eyes, mouth and stomach, and looked around and said, "What just happened?" After a couple of minutes the toad notices Naruto and said, "Naruto, is that really you? No, it can't be, you're dead. Wait, does that mean I'm dead?" Naruto laughing at the sight before him, he failed to notice the professor walking up behind and said, "Now Naruto, I am assuming it worked, judging by the panicking toad." Naruto manages to calm down, turns to the professor and said, "Yes professor, it worked. Now I have to Gamakichi and explain the situation." Then he turns to the panicking toad and seeing how he is and knowing that it will be a hassle, he uses the rooster talisman to levitate the toad and says to the toad, "Now calm down Gamakichi, you are not dead and neither am I." The toad looks at Naruto and said, "What do you mean that we aren't dead, Naruto? We buried your body." "Well, now that a story, now I am going to put you down and I want you to stay calm and then I will tell you, okay?" Naruto asked and Gamakichi nodded, and so Naruto told him that he was alive when Kakashi arrived, then getting killed by Kakashi, meeting Kami, then getting reborn in a world of magic. Gamakichi, who was having a hard time believing Naruto but found that it was properly the only way that Naruto could still summon the toads, then said, "Okay Naruto, I am going to go back and talk to dad and let him know what is going on." Naruto was about to say okay but said, "Hey Gamakichi, how about you take me with you, and I can tell the boss toad all about what has happened." After a few moments Gamakichi said, "Sure, I don't mind, and it will save me a headache about making that you are alive and in a different universe." Before Gamakichi could do anything, the professor said, "Wait toad, mind if I come with you and Naruto?" Gamakichi looked at Minerva and said, "Who are you?" "I am Minerva McGonagall and I am a professor at the school that Naruto is attending. Nice to meet you," Minerva introduced herself. "Well, nice to meet you Minerva, I am Gamakichi and I am the heir to the Toad clan and I don't think it would be a problem." Gamakichi said. Them returned home along with Naruto and Minerva. When they both got to Mount Myoboku, Gamakichi said, "Well Naruto, you have been here before so I will be saying this mainly to Minerva. Welcome to Mount Myoboku. Now if you two will follow me I will take you to my father." Then Gamakichi started to hope along to where his father was. After a couple of minutes they came to a massive toad that was a dull rusty red with a brighter red around his eyes, lips, and chest. Gamakichi stopped and said, "Yo pops, guess who I found?" "What is it now Kichi Tatsu, not playing with you now," said the massive toad. Before the little toad could say anything, Naruto walked up to the massive toad and said, "Well, I guess it's nice to see you again Gamabunta." Gamabunta looked down upon hearing Naruto's voice and said, "Kichi, what is going on here?" "Well pops, I think it would be best as if I let Naruto and Minerva tell you," replied Gamakichi. Naruto looked at Gamabunta and said, "Well chief, I will tell you, but I need you to do something first." The chief toad looked at Naruto and said, "And what might that be Naruto?" Naruto gave Gamabunta a sad foxy smile and said, "Do you think you could bring Jiraiya and Tsunade here, as I am sure they need to know what really happened?" After a few minutes Gamabunta knows that he might be right as he was the only other person that was at the Valley of the End, said, "Okay Naruto, I will do it." Then he sent a toad to get Tsunade and reversed summon Jiraiya. After 5 minutes Naruto was hiding and both people was in front on of Gamabunta and Jiraiya said, "Okay Bunta, why have you summoned me and Tsunade here?" Gamabunta chuckled and said, "I believe he should be the one to explain what going on." "What do you mean Bunta?" asked Jiraiya. Before anyone could say anything, Naruto walked out from behind Gamabunta and said, "Hey Ba-chan and Yutaero Sanin," shocking both of them. Then he runs over and hugs both of them and said, "I have missed you both so much." Tsunade gets out of Naruto's hug and grabs him by the collar, lifts him of the ground and says in a pissed off voice and demanded, "Okay brat, who are you? Drop the genjutsu now." Minerva walked out and said, "Wait, that is really Naruto, and if you put him down, he will tell you what happened." Tsunade drops Naruto on the ground and says, "Okay brat, start explaining." "Okay Ba-chan." Naruto said, pissing Tsunade even more. Then he explained what happened before he died and getting reborn in a word with magic. When Naruto was done, Tsunade walked up to Naruto and gave him a big hug and said, "I am glad to see you again and I miss you so much, then let's go." Jiraiya walks up to Naruto and says, "Glad you were reborn with you chakra and able to summon the toad. Now we can talk though letters and able to tell us what really happened at Valley of the End. Now we can bring Kakashi and Sasuke to justice." "Well, it's been nice to see you both again and glad to see that you're both doing well," Naruto said. Then hand Tsunade a bunch of letters and said, "I wrote these so you can give them to my friends and to tell them what I have been up to in this world I am in. While I was writing them I was hoping with all my heart that this would work, and they spent hours talking about thing that has happened." And Minerva told Tsunade and Jiraiya all about the world that Naruto was a part of. When it was time to say goodbye, Tsunade walked up to Minerva and said, Minerva, I know we got off on the wrong foot, but I would like to say sorry and please look after Naruto. He has, and I bet that he will always go the extra mile to protect his friends and do what is right even if it means breaking the rules, so please promise me that you will look after him. Minerva had heard some of Naruto's childhood, was appalled by what the village had done, now understood why Naruto does what he does, said, I will try my best, but that might be hard as I am a teacher, so I can't show favoritism. Happy and understanding Tsunade said, that is fine as long as you try, then goes over to Naruto and said, I do believe this is yours, Naruto, then takes of her necklace and give it back to Naruto. Naruto looks at the necklace and said, but wasn't thins on my original body. Yes, it was. I sent an Anbu to retrieve it when Kakashi lied about you being dead when he got there, but don't worry, that will be corrected when I get back. Tsunade said with a grin. Then they went to their own universe, Naruto feeling better now that he can talk to people from his home universe, but at the same time sad that he can't see them as they need to sign the Toad contract, and Tsunade and Jiraiya happy that they know what really happened to Naruto and no plan to bring the guilty to justice. When they both got back to school, Naruto got back. He went to his house common room and read some jutsu while the professor was in her office thinking about what she learned about Naruto. It was the first day of school term and Naruto was in his first lesson, which was transfiguration. He was sitting alone at his twin deck looking at a tabby cat that was sitting on the professor's desk when the door and Ron came though and sat next to Naruto. Ron looks at Naruto and said, thank God that the professor's not here yet. Naruto finally looked away from the cat to look at Ron and said, you would think so, Ron. What are you bloody hell about? I don't see the professor here, so therefore she isn't here, Ron said smugly. Naruto just sighed and said, you are an idiot. You know that, Ron, this is a transfiguration class, right? Which Ron nodded. And what is this class going to teach use? Ron smiled and said, and you call me an idiot? What, this class is turning one thing into another. Right, and there is this thing that very few which are wizard can be, and that is called being an animagus, Naruto said, then turned his attention back to the cat and said, isn't that right, Professor McGonagall? The cat jumped of the desk and turned into said professor, looked at Naruto and said, how did you know that the cat was me, Mr. Potter? Well, because I don't know much about this world yet. I went into the library to read a few books, some basic, others not so much. One of the books was about rituals and it had the animagus ritual, so I read about it. Looks complicated and way out of my skills, so I know I won't be trying to do that. Plus, it is also a type of transformation and there being a tabby in class when a professor should be, Naruto explained. I must say I am impressed, Mr. Potter. 10 points to Gryffindor, said the professor. Then she turned to Ron and said, now Mr. Weasley, why was you late? Got lost, sorry, Professor, Ron replied. Then for the next hour the professor was teaching. When it was time for the next lesson the class was leaving when the professor said, Mr. Potter, a word please. Sure, Professor, Naruto said, then turned to Hermione and said, hey Hermione, please tell Snape that I might be late. Why? Sure, Naruto, Hermione replied, then walked up to the next class. Naruto walked up to the professor's desk and said, what can I do for you, Professor? It is about the animagus ritual, the professor replied with a worried tone. Naruto replies what she means and said, well, Professor, you don't have to worry about a thing you seem to have forgotten. I have the power of the monkey, which similar to that ritual, and it is less dangerous but more powerful. The ritual allows you to turn into one animal, but I have the power to turn into all animals in the Muggle world, so I am better off if you ask me. Minerva, seeing Naruto has point, said, okay, I see you point, and I also believe you are better off, but what if someone found out about your talismans and chakra? I say I don't care. After all, it's not like they can harness my chakra. True, I can unlock others if I trust them enough, and as for the talismans, they can't get them no matter what they do, Naruto said. Why is that, Naruto? Asked Minerva. Well, simply put, you need to be a master of a type of magic that nobody uses, and also a master of potions, which I will need to study at some point in the future, Naruto said. What type of magic is that, Naruto, and why is that? Asked the professor. The type of magic that is needed to get the talismans is Kai magic, and there are some Kai magic that requires potions, and that is also included to get the talismans, Naruto explained. Thanks, Naruto, for telling me all this. Now to your next class, said the professor. It is not a problem, Professor, Naruto said. Then he headed to his next class, which was potion. When Naruto got to his potions class, he knocked and then walked in, and the professor said, Mr. Potter, our new celebrity thought you was good enough to skip a class. Not at all, Professor, it was just that Professor McGonagall wanted to have a word with me about something, Naruto replied. Tell me, Mr. Potter, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infused of wormwood, the professor asked. Why are you asking me? It is literally the first potion class one have been in, and if you don't know then this class is doomed, Naruto said before saying, by the way, you would get a sleeping potion so powerful that it is called the Draft of the Living Dead. Correct. Now where might I find a bazaar? Asked the professor. Isn't that a stone that is taken from a goat's stomach? Naruto asked. One more question. What is the difference between monkshood and wolfsbane? The professor asked. The location that they are found, other than at nothing. And why don't you ask someone else like Hermione some questions, or are you one of those professors? Naruto asked. So, you haven't let your fame get to you, Potter, said the professor. Of course not, why would I? Plus there is the fact that I only found out that I was famous a few days after my birthday, Naruto said. It was the flying lesson and the professor said, welcome to your first flying lesson. Well, what are you waiting for? Everyone stand on the left hand side of their broomstick, stick their right hand over the broom and say up. When Naruto said, up, it went up first time and he didn't use his rooster power. He looks at Hermione who was having trouble and he told her, listen Hermione, you need be confident. When you say up, say it with your heart's fire. Hermione looks at Naruto and said, my what now? Your heart's fire. When you say a spell you must speak with passion and don't hold back, so take a deep breath, find your center and say up, Naruto explained. Hermione, deciding to take Naruto's advice, took a deep breath and said, up, and the broom went into her hand. First time she smiled, looked at Naruto and said, thanks for the advice, Naruto. No problem, Hermione, Naruto said. After a few more minutes everyone had their brooms. The professor said, all right, now I want you to mount it and also have a firm grip, so you don't slip off. When I blow my whistle I want you to kick off the ground and hover for a few seconds, lean slightly forward then back on the ground. Then she blow the whistle. The broom that Neville was on started to go haywire and when it ended Madame Hooch took Neville to the infirmary. Malfoy picks up Neville's ball that he had gotten earlier that day and said, maybe the fat lump had given this a squeeze, he might have remembered to land on his ass. Naruto, not liking how Malfoy was talking about Neville, said, give me the ball, Malfoy. And here I was thinking about leaving it somewhere for Longbottom to find, so the answer is no. Malfoy said, got on his broom and said maybe the roof might be a good spot, then flow away. Naruto was about to get on his broom, but Hermione said, Naruto, stop, you heard what the professor said and beside you have no idea how to fly. Naruto looks at Hermione and said, I have always been more of a practical learner anyway, then took off. Hermione said, what an idiot. When Naruto got up to Malfoy he said, so what are you going to do? Malfoy looks at Naruto and said, I am going to do this, then he throw it. Naruto took no time and shot past Malfoy, causing him to momentarily lose balance. Thanks to Naruto training in his past life and before coming to Hogwarts could easily see the ball, he speed up to get in front of it, turned and catch it, but not before turning around on his broomstick. But what he failed to notice was he was in front of a window with Professor McGonagall seeing him catching the ball. A few minutes after he landed, Professor McGonagall and said, Naruto, Potter, please come with me. Malfoy said, looks like you're in trouble. Wouldn't be the first time I've been in trouble, Malfoy, Naruto replied. Once out of earshot, Naruto asked, is there something I can do for you, Professor? Naruto, I want you to be honest with me. Did you use your rooster power to get the ball? Asked the professor. No, I did not, Professor. That would be too great and I want to keep my other powers a secret and not reveal them until I have to. Plus, if I did, you think I would be on the broom? Naruto replied. Okay, that was a really good point. Okay, then please come with me, the professor said. Then she took him to another class. She turned to him and said, you stay here, then walked into the class and said, sorry, Professor Quirrell, could I borrow wood for a little bit? The professor said, sure you can. And a boy got up and followed Professor McGonagall, and when she got back to Naruto, she said, Potter, thins as Oliver wood, woo, I have found you a seeker. A few days later, Naruto was in the courtyard with the captain of the Quidditch who was explaining the rules and the types. Quidditch is easy to understand. The teams has 7 players, 3 chasers, 2 beater, which you've met the Weasley twins, a keeper, me and a seeker, you. There are 3 types of balls. The one to score points of called a quaffle bends down and opens the trunk, then picks up the biggest one before continues. The chasers handle this ball and throws it though one of those 3 hoops, points to the posts in the distant, then says, but it's not that easy as they a. Keeper guarding them with me so far. Yes, I am. Then points at the balls and asked, what kind of balls are the ones that moves? Oliver picks up a bat and hands it to Naruto and says, you better take this, then releases one of the balls. It shot up, then it came down. When it was in range, Naruto swung the bat and hit the ball, sending it a far bit away. Oliver whistled and said, impressive, Naruto. If being a seeker doesn't suit you, you would make an excellent beater. It was Halloween and Naruto was sitting in his charms class listening to the teacher going on about the levitation spell when he said, now you try. Naruto decided not to do anything because of his rooster power. He hears Hermione helping Ron out, but he did not take it well and spent the rest of the lesson sulking. Naruto and Ron was on the way to the next class. Ron said, I tell ya mate, she is a bloody nightmare. I am not surprised she doesn't have friends. Hermione, who was walking behind them, brushed past Ron with a look like she wanted to cry. Naruto saw this, turned to Ron, grabbed him and lifted him off the ground and said, listen here, Ron, and listen good. I gave you the benefit of the doubt, seeing if you could be a good friend, but all you did was criticize the things I read and not put any effort into do anything, and you were wrong about Hermione. She does have a friend too at the moment, me and Neville, so unless you can put your wounded pride aside, don't come anywhere near me. Then drops him, then thought, hey Kurama, do you think I should go after Hermione? Not now, kid, give her some time by herself before looking for her, replied the ten-tailed, knowing that Naruto will worry about the girl, but Kurama knows that Naruto was not sure what to do. At dinner time Naruto was looking for Hermione but could not see her, so he turned to Neville and said, "Hey Nev, do you know where Hermione is?" Neville looks over to Naruto and said, "I heard from Parvati Patil that she was in the girls' bathroom crying all afternoon." Before Naruto could say anything, the doors opened and Professor Quirrell came running through shouting, "Troll, troll, there is a troll in the dungeon, thought you ought to know about the troll." Then he collapsed. While all the student minus Naruto, who was still eating calmly, was panicking, Professor Dumbledore shouted, "Quiet." When the students calmed down, the headmaster said, "Now then, prefects will lead their house back to their dormitories in a calm, orderly manner, and the professors will come with me to the dungeons." When the Gryffindors was about halfway to their dorm, when Naruto realized something, then he turned and grabs Neville and pulls him out of the line and said, "Nev, we have to leave right now." "What is going on, Naruto?" Neville asked, knowing that Naruto do not tend to break the rule without reason. "It is about Hermione. She doesn't know about the troll, so we need to find her," Naruto said. Now seeing the emergency, Neville said, "Come on, let go, though I won't be much help. The troll has left the dungeon." "Do not worry about it, Neville. If that is the case, then I will be the one that will distract it while you get or run with Hermione, okay? And don't worry about me, just run to a safe distance and we will work on your confidence another day," Naruto said with a tone that Neville never heard from Naruto. "Okay, Naruto." Neville said. They was on their way to the girls' bathroom when they heard foot, and Neville said with a scared tone, "I don't think the troll's in the dungeon now." Then they saw the troll walk past and go into the girls' bathroom, causing them to run. As soon as they got there, Hermione screamed. Naruto, seeing that Hermione got nowhere to go and seeing that there is no room to get past, he said, "Neville, in a minute grab Hermione and do what I said." Scared out of his mind, Neville said, "And how do you expect me to do that, Naruto? There is no way I can get past the troll." "Look, Neville, I know you are scared, but it will be alright, and I promise I will explain what is. I promise, and I always keep my promises," Naruto said just as he saw the troll swing his club at Hermione, then done some hand signs, then said substitute jutsu. Then Hermione stood where Naruto was and Naruto was where Hermione, and he took the hit that was meant for Hermione, which sent him into a wall. Hermione, who was confused about what just happened, saw Naruto go flying into a wall, shouted in a panicked tone, "Naruto," and Neville was just as confused about what Naruto just done. The troll, being dumb, turned around looking at Neville and Hermione, and Neville, who was shaking with fear, took his wand but dropped it when the troll swung his club at him. As the troll missed, he hit a wall, but what nobody saw was a large bit of debris landed on Neville's wand, and when the troll was about to swing again, Naruto got up and said, "All right, P-Brain, now you are in trouble." Then the troll turned around and tried to swing his club, but Naruto used his rooster power and the troll's club stayed in the air, surprising both Hermione and Neville, as Hermione didn't have her wand out. And Neville had dropped his, but as they looked at Naruto they saw even he didn't have his wand out. Then the club moved towards Naruto and he grabbed the club with the power of the ox, then flew up to the troll's head, and Naruto lifted the club above his head and said, "Well, say good night, ugly," then with all his might and hit the troll on his head, killing it, then walked over to Hermione and Neville. Hermione and Neville stood there trying to believe in what they just saw, but Hermione was first to snap out of her shock when she saw Naruto walking over, then asked, "Is it dead?" snapping Neville out of his shock. Naruto looked at the troll and said, "Properly." Before anyone could say anything, 3 professors showed up, and Minerva, shocked at the sight, said, "Explain, the 3 of you." Hermione was about to speak when Kurama said, "Kid, you need to say what really happened here, cause the girl you were fond of is about to lie." "Thanks, Kurama," Naruto thought back, then said, "Hermione, no need to lie." Then turned to the professors and said, "You see, Professor, me and Neville came here to warn Hermione about the troll, as she was in here crying about a comment that Ron made earlier in the day, but when we get here the troll had left the dungeon." "Then why didn't you let a professor? Are your prefects know?" asked the professor. "Well, the professors was heading to the dungeon, so we thought that the troll was still there, and we only one prefect, and that is the head prefect, and he seems like the person that care more about the rule than someone life," replied Naruto, with Hermione and Neville nodding behind him. Seeing that Naruto has been truthful, Professor McGonagall turned to Hermione and said, "Now, Miss Granger, can you tell me what did Mr. Weasley say?" Hermione, looking nervous, looked to Naruto and he gave her a reassured smile and nodded. Then Hermione turned back to the head of Gryffindor, took a deep breath and said, "Well, Professor, it started in our charms class. One tried to help Ron out, but he didn't appreciate it, and after class he said to Naruto, 'She is a bloody nightmare. I am not surprised she doesn't have friends.' Then I brushed past him, upset that he would say that after I tried and helped him." Once Naruto knew that Hermione finished, and he said, "Once she was gone, I turned to Ron and said that he was wrong, as she has 2 friends, me and Neville, then told him unless he lets go if his wounded pride not to come near me. Then I wanted to look for Hermione, but something told me to leave her along for a bit." "Okay, well then, 5 points to both you and Neville for coming to the aid of a student who might not be standing here now. Now up to bed, the 3 of you. You have had a tiring day," said Professor McGonagall, and the trio headed to their common room. When the trio got to the common, Naruto looked at his friends and said, "Okay, listen, you 2, I don't want to let anyone know what you saw today, okay, and I will tell you everything tomorrow, okay?" And they both nodded, then went to bed. It is the day after the troll incident and Naruto was reading his book that Kami gave him in the Gryffindor common room waiting for Neville and Hermione so he can explain what he did yesterday. When the entrance opened up and the head of Gryffindor walked though and spotted Naruto, she said, "Ah, Mr. Potter, I would like to talk to you about last night." Before Naruto could say anything, the two people he was waiting for came in and heard what the professor said. Hermione said, "But professor, we did tell you what happened." Naruto looked over and said, "It is okay, Hermione, she knows that I was lying about what really happened last night." Then turned to the professor and said, "Well, the first part was the complete truth. Me and Neville did go to the girls' bathroom to warn Hermione, and she was there because of what Ron said about her earlier in the day. And when we got to the corridor, the troll was walking into the bathroom, and me and Neville got there with wand at the ready. The troll had Hermione cornered and was about to swing his club at her, and seeing there was no other way I could get Hermione out there without her getting harmed, so I told Neville that I was going to do something, and when it was done he was supposed to grab Hermione and run. Then I substituted with her just as the troll swung his club, which hit me on my left side, which sent me into the wall by the doorway and got buried. Then once I managed to dig myself out, I got the troll's attention, which caused it to try and swing at me, but with the rooster I kept it levitated the flow up and grabbed the club. Then with the power of the ox swung the club with all my might and hit it on the head." The professor gave a little nod and said, "Well, that explains who the troll died. Both Snape and Quirrell think that it was a levitation spell gone." Now confused, Hermione said, Professor, what is going on here?" Then she turned to Naruto and said, "What this about rooster power and ox power?" Naruto turns to Professor and said, "Can I answer that before you answer?" The professor nodded. Then he turned to Hermione and said, "That is part of what I am telling you later, Hermione," which received a nod. Seeing her chance to speak, the professor said, "Well, I am here for 3 reasons. I have already sorted, another is with Mr. Longbottom, and the last is with Mr. Weasley." Naruto said, "Professor, do you want go and get Ron while you talk to Neville?" "That would be appreciated, Naruto," replied Professor McGonagall. Then Naruto left the common room and headed up the steps to the boys' bedrooms to wake up Ron. When he go to Ron's bed and starts to wake him up, Ron groaned as he opens his eyes to see Naruto. He says, "What the bloody hell do you want?" "Hey, wake Tem, Professor McGonagall wants to talk to you about something. She is downstairs right now waiting, so I wouldn't keep her waiting for long," Naruto said, then left the room and goes to common room to see Neville getting chowed out by an old lady while Neville holds a broken wand and says, "Hey, what is going on?" Everyone looks at Naruto, and the old lady that was chowing Neville out said, "Just telling off my grandson for breaking his wand that was his father's last night." "Look, lady, I get it, but there is one thing you are forgetting," Naruto said, as he was quite sure the wand got broken during the troll incident last night and the lady did not know. "And what would that be?" asked Neville's grandmother. "Do you know how it got broken?" Naruto asked. The old lady opened her mouth to speak, then closed it, then began to think. After a few moments she said, "No, I just assumed it was just Neville being Neville. Well, to tell you, somehow a troll got into Hogwarts last night and our friend didn't know about it, so we went to warn her but the troll got to her first. The wand must have gotten broken in the struggle," Naruto said, then turned to a downcast Neville and asked, "Can I look at the wand, please?" Neville gave Naruto the wand, then Naruto put the wand together. He activated the power of the horse, completely repairing the wand, shocking his friends and Neville's grandmother. Then he picked the wand up and handed it to Neville, then turned to the professor and said, "Professor, is there a place we could go so I can have a private chat with my friends?" Then he looks to the doorway and said, "That also includes you two knuckleheads." The door opened and reveals the Weasley twins. Then Fred said, "How did you know we was here, Naruto?" "I will tell you how I know later," was all Naruto said. Neville's grandmother walked up to Naruto and said, "Thank you for bringing out my grandson's inner lion out." "Not a problem, and I can guarantee that as long as he and I are friends, that lion will be come out to play more often," Naruto said. Professor McGonagall said, "You can use my classroom, Naruto, but can you check what is taking Ron a long time?" "Sure thing, sensei," Naruto said as he went back to the bedroom only to see Ron had gone back to sleep, then said as he walked over, "Okay, then you want to do it the hard way, fine, then I am going to drag you downstairs." Then he grabbed Ron's shirt and used the ox talisman, then dragged him to the professor, then lead his friends to the classroom after saying bye to Neville's grandmother. Once the group got to the classroom, Naruto checked that there was nobody outside, then closed the door, then put a privacy seal over it so they couldn't be overheard. Then he walked over the teacher's desk and sat on it, then said, "Okay, before I start, who believes in reincarnation?" When nobody put their hand up, he asked, "Hermione, why not?" "Well, for starters, the whole thing about when you die you are reborn seems unlike, and as you know me, I will believe it if I can see it," Hermione replied. "Well, then you all might as well as believe it because you know someone that has been reincarnated," Naruto said. This news shocked everyone, and Fred asked, "All right, mate, who is it?" "Me," Naruto said. "This better not be a prank, Naruto," George said. "It is not, and I can prove it," Naruto said, then thought, "You ready to do this, Kurama?" "Ready as I will ever be, Naruto, but it will be nice to talk to other people other than you," replied the fox. Then Naruto then activated the astral protection talisman to leave his body and saw that he was visible, which shocked his friends, but when they saw Naruto's body move they all fainted, which caused Naruto and Kurama to doubly over with laughter. After about 5 minutes Naruto and Kurama was still laughing, but not as bad when they saw that their friends was waking up. Then they both told them about who and what was controlling Naruto's, their past life, the powers of the 12 talismans to chakra. Then once they had all asked Naruto all the question they could think of, they headed to the Great Hall for breakfast after promising not to say a word to anyone. Time skip. Over the month Naruto had his first Quidditch match against Slytherin, which Gryffindor won, and that there is a Cerberus dog named Fluffy who appears to be guarding something, and whatever it is between Headmaster Dumbledore and some guy named Nicholas Flamel. It is the first day of Christmas holidays and Hermione was saying bye to her friends, and Naruto promised to still look for any clues on Nicholas Flamel. It is now Christmas morning and Neville woke Naruto up by shouting from the common room, and seeing as he wouldn't have any presents he strolled down to the common room and saw Neville, Fred and George waiting for him, and he said, "Morning guys," when he saw what the twins was wearing, rouge jumpers with a cream G and F, then said, "Nice jumpers, are they homemade?" The twins had a mild look of disgust and said, Fred said with a downcast voice, "Yeah, it is homemade, our mother make one for us every year." Naruto catching that tone and look walked up to them, then a 2-finger slap without ox power, then said with a pissed tone, "I caught the tone and the look you two gave, yeah, it properly is embarrassing, but at least you get something that your mother poured her love in it, and that is worth more than anything in the entire multiverse, and take it from someone who grew up being an orphan in 2 lifetime." Fred and George both looked at each other with a look of shame as they knew that Naruto was telling the truth. Then George said, "You're right Naruto, we have been getting these for as long as we can remember, and I guess that we never thought about what mom think when she makes them for us, and on another you have presents." Shocked by this news Naruto asked, "Okay, just to make sure I heard you, you said I have presents?" Neville then said, "Yes you do." Naruto then went the tree and picked on up. He noticed that it had a note, so he read it out loud. "Your father left this in my protection before he died. It is time it was returned to its rightful owner. Use it well." Then opened the present and saw that it was a cloak, holds it up and said, "Cool looking cloak, right guys?" and receives a nod from all 3 of them. Then Naruto puts it on. When he saw his friends with looks of shock, he looks down and see that he is only a head that says, "Cool, an invisibility cloak, this are worth a fortune." Then there was a voice from the bedroom doorway. "Now isn't that a little bit funny that you, someone who supposedly doesn't get any presents, gets one of the most expensive things in the world?" And the group looks over and sees Ron. Naruto, not liking the tone, said, "And what the hell is that supposed to mean, Tem?" "Oh, nothing, just finding it hard to believe that you get no presents," Ron said as he walked away. After that he got a broom polishing kit from Neville, a pranking set from the twins, few books about various subjects. The next one surprised him as it was a rouge homemade jumper with a cream H. Then looks at the twin and asked, "Did your mother really give me a homemade Weasley jumper?" Fred said, "Yeah, sorry about that, we might have told her that you didn't really like Christmas due to how you was raised, but we didn't expect her to make one for you." Naruto did not know what to say, but he was happy. Then he went for the last one, which also came with a note that said, "Thought these might come in handy at some point for you and your friends K." Naruto opens the present and sees it is a red mask with white beard with what seems to be unruly eyebrows and a mustache. Fred and George sees the mask and Fred said, "Nice looking mask Naruto, perfect for Halloween, so come on and put it on." Naruto, thinking what harm can it do, stuck it on, and the moment he did 9 masks came out mask that Naruto was wearing. Then the mask disappeared. The 9 masks other formed 9 Oni figures, each one was wearing ancient Japanese armor, causing Neville to hide behind a chair. The first Oni was rouge and looked normal. Next one was purple who had razor-like fingers. Next to him was a yellow one with bat wings. Then you had a green one that looked like a sumo. One was blue and looked like he was a samurai. One was orange that looked like a squid. The next one was dark gray and looked like a crab. Then you had one was dark yellow and was the smallest one, and the last one was red and was like a mantis. Naruto asked, "Okay, what is going on here?" The blue one said, stepped forward, bowed and said, "Greeting Lord Naruto, once we are done explaining what we are, I will tell you what is going on, but Kami said that you and your friends might need our help, so she sent us to you to help you, and as for what we are the 9 Oni generals, and we each can summon ninja-like shadow spirits from the shadow realm called Shadow Khan. I am the leader of the Oni generals, my name is Ikazuki, and I can summon the Samurai Khan clan." Then out of a nearby shadow a figure wearing a dark blue metallic samurai armor. They have grayish blue skin, but only their hands are visible. They wear dark red belts and have one glowing red eye. They are 1.5 times taller than a regular human. Then went back into the shadow. Once the samurai was gone, the rouge one stepped forward, bowed, said, "Greetings my lord, I am Rariku and I can summon the Ninja Khan clan." Then out of a shadow a figure that has grayish blue skin and glowing red eyes, wearing black ninja suits with dark red and blue accents that cover most of their body and face, then went back into the shadow. Once the ninja was gone, the purple one stepped forward, bowed and said, "Greetings my lord, I am Murasaki and I can summon the Razor Khan clan." Then out of a shadow a tall figure that had a pointed head with one glowing red eye. They wear black suits with dark red accents that cover all of their body. They have dark red belts and brown ropes covering their forearms and hands. Instead of fingers, they have 5 giant, razor-sharp claws. Their legs are also pointed, then went back into the shadow. Once the razor was gone, the yellow one stepped forward, bowed, and said, "Greetings, my lord, I am Kiro, and I can summon the Batcon clan." Then out of a shadow a figure that has dark, grayish-blue skin and one glowing, red eye. They wear black suits that only cover their torso. They have 3 sharp fingers on each of their hands and wear dark red belts. Their most remarkable feature is their giant, bat-like wings. The wings are lighter in color and are connected to their backs, then went back into the shadow. Once the bat was gone, the green one stepped forward, bowed, and said, "Greetings, my lord, I am Midori, and I can summon the Sumo-Kon clan." Then out of a shadow a figure that has grayish-blue skin and red eyes, are twice as tall and 5 times as wide as regular humans. They wear black suits with dark red accents, then went back into the shadow. Once the sumo was gone, the orange one stepped forward, bowed, and said, "Greetings, my lord, I am Orenji, and I can summon the Squid-Kon clan." Then out of a shadow a figure that has 2 sets of tentacles which they can extend drastically. They have grayish-blue skin and black suits. Their abdomen and tail are skin-colored. They have 7 glowing, red eyes and 2 vertically oriented fang-filled mouths, and was probably the scariest out of the 9 clans, then went back into the shadow. Once the squid was gone, the dark gray one stepped forward, bowed, and said, "Greetings, my lord, I am Kuro, and I can summon the Crab-Kon clan." Then out of a shadow a figure that was 1.5 times taller than a regular human. It has long legs and incredibly well-built bodies. They wear black suits that entirely covers them. They have 1 glowing, red eye. The Crab-Kon are the only asymmetrical Shotokan tribe, as their left arm have crab-like pincers while their right arm have stabbing claws and no pincers, then went back into the shadow. Once the crab was gone, the dark yellow one stepped forward, bowed, and said, "Greetings, my lord, I am Mosugaran, and I can summon the Mini-Kon clan." Then out of a shadow a figure that was the smallest of the Shadow-Kon. They look like little sharks on legs. They are the only Shotokan without eyes, then went back into the shadow. Once the mini was gone, the red one stepped forward, bowed, and said, "Greetings, my lord, I am AKA, and I can summon the Mantis-Kon clan." Then out of a shadow a figure that has mantis-like arms and 4 legs that have spikes on them all over. They are completely black with a dark red triangle-shaped shoulder pad. They have 1 glowing, red eye, then went back into the shadow, and Neville, being less scared, slowly came out. Once the mantis was gone, Ikazuki nodded to the other generals. Black smoke surrounded them, then their bodies disappeared, only leaving the masks. Then Ikazuki said, "Now to explain the mask that Naruto put on, free our mask. But Kami gave us the ability to manifest one time to explain to you what is going on or what we can do, then we peacefully go back into our masks, then Naruto can give us to someone who is worthy." Fred, who was intrigued by this development, said, "So what does that mean, mate?" "What that means is that at the moment Naruto can choose who gets the masks, and should they put it on, they will be able to summon the Kon clan. For example, should Naruto give the plump boy my mask, he will be able to summon the samurai to do his bidding after he puts it on," Ikazuki explained. "Wait, what was the mask that Naruto put on?" Neville asked. "Well, to simple put, that was the mask on the king of all Oni Tarakudo, and the orders that Naruto gives us takes priority," Ikazuki replied. George asked, "So if he gives a mask to me and I use the Kon to pull pranks, the moment Naruto says enough is enough, the Kons wouldn't pull pranks, right? Current, and you can summon only that Kon clan while Naruto can summon all of them, and should someone that Naruto didn't choose, we will take them over and run amok, and only potion brewed from Kai magic can remove the mask, and with that all done until we meet again," Ikazuki said. Then black smoke surrounded him, then his body disappeared, only leaving his mask. Naruto went to pick up the mask and said, "Well, that was something different," gaining a chuckle from his friends. By the end of the day, Naruto told his friends that he will wait for Hermione to come back before he gives them a mask, then sealed them away. Now they was chilling in front of the Gryffindor fire, playing jokes and pulling pranks on each other while drinking hot chocolate, when there was a poof of smoke. When the smoke cleared, it revealed Gamakichi, who said, "Yo, what's up?" Neville looks down at his drink, then turned to the twins and said, "What did you two put in our drinks?" Fred said, "We didn't do anything." Before anyone could say anything, Naruto talks up to the toad and said, "Hey, what's up, Gamakichi? What brings you to this universe?" "Oh, nothing, just here to deliver 2 parcels, one from Jiraiya and the other is from Tsunade," Gamakichi said as he gave Naruto 2 scrolls, then went back to his home. George said, "What was that, mate?" Naruto, who went back to where he was sitting, said, "That was a summoning toad that I can summon, and he came here to give me something from home." Then he thought the scrolls to see what they gave him. Tsunade gave him rightfully his minus the cash, and Jiraiya gave him a copy manuscript of his book and gave him permission to them on his side, and the 4 boys agreed that as is one Christmas neither of them will forget. A few nights after Christmas, Naruto is in the restricted part of the library looking for anything on Nicholas Flamel, but so far he found nothing on the guy, but he did find something that caught, but he decided to ask Professor McGonagall about it some other time. He then took a book out of a shelf, and when he opened it the book started to scream, so he quickly closed, but the scream from book caught the attention of someone. "Who's there?" came the voice of Filch the caretaker. In a panic, Naruto ran off, leaving the lantern that he was using, and the snake appeared in this eyes and he went invisible and went past the caretaker. Along the way, Naruto heard voices coming his way, so he went into the nearest door and wait inside the room he was in. He deactivated the talisman and found a mirror and decided to look at his reflection, but what he saw surprised him as he saw himself, but he wasn't alone, as standing behind him was people that are much older than him, 2 female on his left hand side and 2 males on his right hand side. Kurama, who was connected to Naruto, saw what Naruto saw, said with a sad tone as he knew who the 2 adults are. Well kid, it might have been 25 years from your past life and 10 years in this time, but you get to see both of your parents look like. So that must mean that this is a magic mirror that shows what one's true desire in the mirror, and as I have always wanted to see both of them. Naruto said, all depressed. He then sat down and stayed there looking at his parents from this life and his past for about an hour. Then he gets up and checks if the coast is clear, then he headed back to his house. The next day Naruto was heading to ask Minerva about the thing that he read the light before he knocked on her office door. Then he heard her say, "Come in." Naruto went in and said, "Hey professor, can I ask you a question?" The professor looks up to sees Naruto, then said, "Sure I can, Naruto, but first can you answer something that has been on my mind for a while?" "Sure, I will try my best," Naruto replied. "Please explain to me what is Kai magic?" asked the professor. Naruto thought about it, then he said, "Sure, I don't mind telling you about Kai magic. To put it simply, it is magic that when trained properly, even muggles can do magic, though they properly won't be as powerful, but magic is still magic." "I see, so that is Kai magic. I must say it sounds impressive," Minerva said. "Now what is it you wanted to know?" "Okay, what is a Horcrux?" Naruto asked, shocking the professor. Coming out of the shock, Minerva said, "Where did you hear that word, Naruto?" "Read it in the library, but it didn't say what it really was," Naruto said. Minerva looks at Naruto, then said, "A Horcrux is the word used for an object in which a person has concealed part of their soul. Well, you split your soul, you see, and hide part of it in an object outside the body. Then, even if one's body is attacked or destroyed, one cannot die, for part of the soul remains earthbound and undamaged." Naruto thought for a minute, then said, "So what I go out of that is that you commit a horrendous act which split your soul in half, then you can place one half into something or someone." "That is correct, Naruto. Why do?" Minerva asked. "It's just all my life my scar. It has been bothering me because of the horse, and I didn't want to send Kurama out looking inside my mindscape just in case there was something dangerous attached to it. Even though he is powerful, I cannot and will not send a friend to fight something that might hurt them no matter how powerful they are," Naruto said. "So, what are you going to do, Naruto?" asked the professor. "Well, first Kurama will go looking for what it attached to my scar, then hopefully he will get rid of it. Other than that, I don't know," Naruto replied. The moment he said that, the great beast inside of him goes on a quest to find and get rid of what is attached to Naruto's scar. Naruto gets up and begins to leave, but not before saying, "Well, see you later, Minerva." As the school year passes on, Naruto, Hermione and Neville could not find anything about Nicholas Flamel, and Kurama's search was better as he found that Naruto was a Horcrux, but that was not all he found. He even found Lily Potter Evans was semi-alive, and the trio said that the most possible answer was that Naruto used the goat talisman to save his mother before Voldemort's killing curse actually killed her, thus saving her. Now all they need to do is find her body, then was the goat to send her spirit back into her body, which Minerva has been helping with. The Naruto and his friends in the Great Hall revising for the final exams, and Ron, who was next to them, playing with some cards. After Ron and Hermione little argument, Ron throw the cards on the table. Harry read what was on the card, showed it to Hermione and Neville, then they all headed to the library and found out that what Fluffy was guarding was the Philosopher's Stone. That night they headed to Hagrid's hut, and when he answered the door he said, "Sorry, but I am not in the mood for entertaining people at the moment." When Hagrid tried to close the door, Naruto said, "This is about the Philosopher's Stone, and we know that Fluffy is guarding it amongst other traps and enchantments." "Ah, you might as well come in then," Hagrid said, then said, "Still believe that Snape is still trying to steal it. We're not sure that it is actually Snape, but we believe that someone is, but you have to admit he is the most suspicious," Hermione said. Before Hagrid could reply, there was a rattling sound, and it was coming from a cauldron that was on the fire. Then, faster than anyone had guessed, Hagrid moved faster than they had seen the entire year, went over to the cauldron with oven mitts on, pulled what appears to be an egg out and places it in the table, and a dragon hatched from it, and Hagrid named him Norbert, and the dragon hiccuped and sat Hagrid's beard on fire. While putting it out, he sees someone looking thought the window, then he says, "Who's that?" The trio looks at where Hagrid was looking to see Ron, then he quickly runs away, and Naruto say, "Well, Hermione, looks like you are going to get in trouble by Ron." He then turns to Hagrid and to say, "Well, we would like to stick around, but we each have a pill to swallow. See you soon, Hagrid." Then they left. When the trio got to the castle, they were met by Professor McGonagall with a smug-looking Ron behind her. Then she said in a stern tone, "My office now, the lot of you." Once inside the deputies, when the 4 students was standing in front of her desk, when she said to everyone, "Well, I am disappointed in all of you, more so with you, Miss Granger, and you as well, Mr. Longbottom, but not really with Mr. Potter, as he is always up to something. It's like I am always telling you, Sensei, I am a fox." Naruto, who had his signature grin on, said. So I am going to take 50 points for each of you and all 4 of you will be having detention which will be held tomorrow night, understood? The professor said. Yes, professor. Everyone replied. The following night the group of 4 was waiting for someone when Filch came and said, Alright you lot, I will take you to Hagrid as he will be taking care of you this fine evening as he has a task to do in the dark forest. As came out of his hut all sad then said, Oh for Pete's sake man, pull yourself together, you are about to go into the great forest. Ron, who was now scared, said, Wait, I thought you was joking about the forest. I heard that there is a pack of werewolf in there. Oh trust me Ron, there are more than werewolves in there. There are some dark creature and some light creatures, plus I read that there is a secret cave somewhere in there that was made by one of the founders, Naruto said, partially bouncing as he has liked to try and find secret places. After about an hour of walking the group stopped, then Hagrid bent down and felt something on the ground, then turned to the students and showed then a silver-like substance on this hand, then said, See this is what we are here for, this is unicorn blood and it is fresh and badly hurt, there is something here that is hunting them and that is what we are here for, to stop whatever is hurting the unicorn. Hermione, you and Neville, you're with me. Naruto, you and Ron. Before Naruto could say anything, Ron said, Fine, but we get Fang. Okay, but he is a cowardly dog. Hagrid said, then he went to his right and Hermione and Neville following behind him, leaving Naruto and Ron to go the other way. After about 15 minutes Ron said, Oh come on Naruto, let's just ditch this and do something else. Not a chance. Know that there is an injured animal, then I will find it and keep it safe and kick the ass of anyone who dares to think that is a good idea to hurt a creature, so you can sit here or fuck off, I don't care, I am going to look for this unicorn, Naruto said. But don't you want to try and find this secret cave? Ron said, trying to persuade Naruto into stopping. Now see here Ron, unlike you I always keep my promises and I always try and help those that need help, for that is my ninja way, Naruto said. Then he carried on walking. A short while later the duo continued to walk when they suddenly heard Fang growling, so they looked and saw a hooded figure bent sucking on the blood of the unicorn. Then all of a sudden Ron and Fang run off both in different direction. Fang headed towards the other group while Ron somehow headed to the school screaming, catching the attention of the hooded figure. Naruto, not scared, stood his ground and said, Alright asshole, as you just gave me something that I can laugh about for the next few days, I am going to give you a choice. You can leave and save you ass a good beating, or I kick your ass 6 ways from Sunday for hurting unicorns. While hoping that the bastard in front of him would choose the latter and he got his wish as the hooded person glided over to him. Before Ether could do anything, a centaur came out of nowhere and scared then the centaur came over and said, Greeting Naruto Potter, but you must leave here at once, this forest is not safe here, especially for you. Naruto, not caring what the centaur saying because he was pretty hard to kill off, walked over to the unicorn to check if it was still alive, which it still was but just barely, then said, Oh thank Kami, she is still alive but she won't last much longer, guess I have no choice but use the power the horse. Then the horse talisman appeared in his eyes, then he channeled the power to heal the unicorn. Then half a minute later she stood up, then she nudged him, then what shocked the centaur, she gave Naruto her horn which instantly regrew, then trotted of but not before Naruto bowed and said, Thank you. Now then, that's that problem solved. Now let's see if the founder's secret hideouts are real. He put the horn in his pocket, then headed to another location, but the unicorn got his attention, so he looked over and saw that the mare wanted him to follow her, so he did, and the mare let Naruto ride her. The centaur, who just stood there unable to believe what he just saw, first saw Naruto Potter shrugging of his warning about the dark creatures that wants to take the boy's life in name of their master like it was just a normal day. The second was that the unicorn that would not survive the night suddenly jump up like nothing happened and was instantly healed. The third thing was the mare gave Naruto her horn, which was something that was never heard, and the last thing was the mare wanted to show the boy something and let him ride her. About 5 minutes later Hagrid and the others minus Ron, as he was heading back to the castle, showed up. They looked around for Naruto and the unicorn but couldn't see them, so Hagrid walked up to the centaur and said, Hey Firenze, what happened here is Naruto and the unicorn. Firenze shocked the shock then said, Hello there Hagrid, I can tell you, but I am still have trouble believing what I saw. Neville looked at Hermione and said, Want to make a bet that Naruto done something that is said to be unheard of or downright impossible? That is a sucker bet, Nev, as we both know that normal doesn't apply to Naruto, Hermione replied. Hagrid looked at Hermione and Neville and said, Court, you two remember this is a dangerous place. Then he turns to Firenze and asked, So what happened here, Firenze? Firenze told Hagrid what had happened. When he was done, Hagrid said, Well, that is interesting, guess I will have to ask Naruto how he managed to have a unicorn from certain death. Then he looks at Hermione and Neville and said, Alright you two, come on, your detention is over, let's get out of here. Firenze walked up to Hagrid and said, But Hagrid, I do not think Naruto knows the important fact that comes with the horn that a unicorn given up willingly. You're right, he doesn't, so I will tell him next time I see him, Hagrid replied, satisfied with the answer. Firenze walks off. Confused about what was going on, Hermione asked, Hagrid, what was all that about, and what is the fact that the centaur was on about? You see Hermione, there are unlike normal pets like your cat and Neville's toad unicorns pure that no one has ever owned one, not a single witch or wizard, though many have tried. Each time a unicorn was captured that night it just disappears. Then one day someone discovered that no one can own one unless it willingly give you its horn, which grows back almost instantly, and how someone discovered that no one even to this day. So, you mean that Naruto now owns a unicorn if the unicorn gave Naruto its horn? Neville asked, and Hagrid nodded. Meanwhile with Naruto, the unicorn was heading to a steep hill that had a cave entrance. Naruto jumps of then said, "Thank you for the lift, you should get back to your herd." However the mare shook her head in a sad motion. One that Naruto perfectly. You don't have a herd, do you? You and your parents got separated from them and you live here in this forest. Then the hooded being killed your mother or father few weeks ago. Getting a nod from the mare. Well then let's hope there is room for you inside. Then he headed inside and the unicorn was following. After exploring the cave, Naruto and the unicorn came across a set of doors and both decided to go inside and was met with a griffin. However this griffin was different as a quadruped, chimeric Pokemon with traits from a variety of creatures. It has a mammalian head with mechanical parts. Covering most of its head and neck is a thick, silver mane that extends down over its chest. Its blunt snout is metallic on the bridge of its nose and upper jaw. It has a triangular black nose framed by 3 red lines, pointed ears with bright pink and black insides, one visible fang on each side of its lower jaw, and a slight overbite. Its eyes are bright silver, have no visible pupils, and appear to be surrounded by an empty, black space. Look up Silvally. When the griffin saw Naruto it got ready to attack. Naruto, thinking quick, used the monkey talisman and turned into a lion, then said, "Wait, I am not here to cause trouble." The griffin looks at Naruto and said with a feminine tone, "Then what bring you here of the secret chamber of Godric Gryffindor?" Naruto, who read about Griffin, thought it might be a good idea to tell her the truth, said, "Well, to simple put, curiosity. I had heard and read that all the founders of Hogwarts had a secret chambers within the castle walls though." The Griffin, still looking at Naruto with a critical eye, said, "What will you do now that you have found secret chamber of Godric Gryffindor?" "Well, first would be to get out of here, then look for the other 3. So are some kind of special griffin, as you don't look like a normal one?" Naruto asked. "You're right about that. I am an artificial griffin created to kill all known magical creatures. However, thanks to Godric I became the creature I was truly meant to, but please call me Silvally, and in return I became his familiar," replied Silvally. "Nice to meet you, Silvally. I am Naruto Potter, and according to the goblin I am the heir to all 4 founders, 3 by birthright and 1 by conquest," Naruto replied. Silvally looks at Naruto shocked and said, "So that mean you have been given the deed to the castle?" "That is right, I got it from Gringotts, but there are 2 conditions I need to meet to truly get the castle, but I don't mind following them," Naruto replied. Silvally looks at Naruto and said, "Okay, need to ask what is up with the unicorn?" "Not sure really. After I used one of my powers to save her, she came over to me, then her horn fell into my hand, then she showed me the secret cave that is in the Forbidden Forest, and here I am," Naruto replied, shocking Silvally. "Naruto, you are aware that if a unicorn willingly give a horn to someone it means that you now own them," Silvally said. "Wait, so does that mean that if I wanted to, I could take her up?" Naruto asked. The artificial griffin nodded and said, "Yes, it does, but it is unheard of as they are very picky about giving people their horns, as nobody had a heart pure enough," Silvally said. "Well, that me all over, always doing what people think is close to if not downright impossible," Naruto said, looking around while saying, "Now how do I get out of here, as I need to tell Ba-chan about my unicorn?" "This way, Naruto, I will show you the way, but I do have one request," said Silvally as she led them to the entrance that was in the castle. "Please take me as your guardian, and the others will want to do so as well if you find the secret chambers, that is," Silvally asked. "Sure, I don't mind, and for your information I will find the secret chambers. Now I am going to turn back into a human though. Can we do the ritual that allows me to communicate with both of you telepathically tomorrow?" Naruto said, and they both nodded. "Oh, before I forget that in order to enter this chamber the password is me," Silvally said, and Naruto nodded. When they get to a door, Naruto opened it only to find out that it lead to Professor McGonagall's office, as he had just entered the office and said professor was sitting behind her desk grading papers looking at him. Then she said, "Well now Naruto, what are you doing in my office? Shouldn't you be with Hagrid?" "I can explain, sensei," Naruto said. Then he explained that Hagrid was to find something that was killing unicorns, to him saving one, then becoming its owner, to finding the secret chamber of Godric Gryffindor, to meeting Silvally and she becomes his protector. "Well, I see you've had an interesting night, so go back to your dorm and get some rest, as you promised to do the bonding ritual tomorrow, but I am going to be there to assist you, understood, Mr. Potter, and I will take your unicorn to Hagrid and I will get him to make her a stable and pen for her," Minerva said, and Naruto nodded, then headed to his dorm. When he got to the Gryffindor common room he was immediately with Hermione and Neville, who wanted to know what happened, so Harry told them and then asked if they wanted to witness a bonding ritual, and both said yes. By the end of the day Naruto was so exhausted that he thought he had used too much chakra again due to doing a double bonding ritual, naming the unicorn, which was Bright Star, then helping Hagrid with the stable and pen, also getting the horse talisman removed. Now he is laying on his bed looking at something when Neville came in and asked, "What did you want to talk about, Naruto?" "Neville, I want an honest answer if you could. Would you want your parents back at tip-top condition? Would you take it? Naruto asked. And without so much of hesitation, Neville, of course I would, Naruto, more than anything. That is good to hear, Nev, so I am lending you something that is so powerful that there is nothing that it can't cure, heal, repair or regenerate, Naruto said. Then he tossed him something. Neville, who managed to catch it, saw that it was some kind of stone with a horse on it. That said, thanks Naruto, but what is this? That, my friend, is the horse talisman, and with it you can get your parents back, but you must keep it a secret, so because of that you will be taking Zazu with you, and when it is done he will be bringing it back to me so I can put it back inside of me. Okay, Nev? Naruto asked, and Neville nodded. Then they both went to sleep. It's been a few days since Naruto gave Neville the horse talisman, and Naruto was with Hagrid, was teaching the trio on how to look and take care of after all kinds of animals, and Naruto doing some business with Hagrid to look after Brightstar and Sylvally over the summer holidays. Naruto has had something on his mind but couldn't think what it was. Then he realized what it was. He turned to Hagrid and said, Hagrid, you know the guy that gave you the dragon, don't you think that it was strange that he just happens to have one? After all, I thought that only an expert can handle them, and even then that they can't go too far from the nest. Hagrid stood there and thought as he remembered the meeting, then said, you do have a point there, Naruto, but I don't think you need to worry. Naruto didn't look convinced, then said, I guess you're right, but answer me this, did you mention you pet Cerberus? Which I want one myself, mind you. Well, of course I did. It's not every day you hear someone owning one, Hagrid replied. I have a feeling that he told the guy something he shouldn't have, Naruto thought. With your luck, Kit, you're right about that, Kurama said. Well, that would be Hagrid for you. The guy may be the definition of the gentle giant, but he can't hold a secret to save his life, Lily said. And what else did you talk about, Hagrid? Naruto asked. I told the guy that the trick to any beast is how to calm it, like just play any kind to Fluffy and he falls fast asleep, Hagrid said. Then he realizes what Naruto was on about, then said, I should not have said that. Hermione looks at Naruto and says, no Naruto, don't you think about it. Think about what, Hermione? Naruto asked innocently as the rabbit showed up in his eyes, then runs off to find Minerva. What a moron, Hermione said, then turns to Neville and said, come on Neville, we better go and make sure he doesn't get himself killed. Naruto finds Professor McGonagall in a classroom marking papers. He walks up to her and said, excuse me Professor, but we might have serious problem. Minerva looks up and says, and what problem would that be, Naruto? The stony kind, Naruto replied, giving Minerva a hint. Minerva, getting the hint, waved her wand and placed silent charms and said, how would you know about the stone, Naruto? Not that you need it with the power of the dog. I know, but at the matter at hand, for months I believe that someone is trying to steal the stone, and Hagrid may have told him on how to get past Fluffy, Naruto replied. Why do you believe that, Naruto? The head of Gryffindor asked. Well, you know, was given a dragon egg a few days ago, Naruto asked, and when the professor nodded he continued, well, I thought it was strange that someone happens to have an egg to be at the pub where Hagrid goes, knowing you need a special license to handle one, a fully grown one, and another to handle the eggs and hatchlings. Then they talked about Cerberus and Hagrid told him on how to get past his Fluffy. Well, you do have a point there, Naruto, and you know who it is? Minerva asked. Well, I can't say for sure, but I would say either Snape or Quirrell, Naruto replied. What make you sure that it's one of those two, Naruto? Minerva asked. We might not have the time, Professor, so I will leave a clone here and it will explain, Naruto said. Shadow clone jutsu, but what the professor didn't know was that Naruto channeled his mother into the clone. Then he said, well, yeah, the run out the door. The clone that hold Lily's spirit turned to the professor and said, hello Professor McGonagall, it's been a long time, shocking the professor. When the shock passed, the professor asked, why do you sound like Lily, Naruto? That is because I am Lily, Professor, Lily replied, then said Henge, then turned into her true self. You see, Professor, you know about the 10-tailed fox that is tied to Naruto. The professor nodded. Well, you see, the fox is able to sense negative emotions, and throughout the year he has been sensing something dark from Quirrell, and Snape just hates everyone that is not in Slytherin, and Dumbledore just seems to want to manipulate my little boy. Okay, I can see why you think that, but can you answer me an important question? The professor asked. If it is how I am here, well, Naruto, Kurama and myself think that just before Voldemort hit me with the killing curse, Naruto must have used the power of the sheep to pull my spirit from my body, then the rooster to place me in his body, but as he didn't know about me being there we couldn't speak, Naruto's mother replied. Well, that explains that, but how did Naruto find you, Lily? Minerva asked. Well, for that I have you to thank for that, because of you Horcrux chat you had, Lily replied, then said, now how about we get going? After all, we can't let students handle this, that the teachers should write. Then the duo started to head to the third floor. By the time Lily and Minerva caught up to Naruto and his friends, they had completed the last challenge and Naruto had gone through the door. Meanwhile, on the other side of the door, Naruto was standing in front of the mirror that he found over Christmas, with Quirrell asking Naruto, what does this mirror do, Potter? You tell me, Professor, Naruto said. Well, I see myself holding the stone now, how do I get it? Said the professor. All of a sudden there was a third voice saying, "Use the boy." The professor turned around and said in a demanding tone, "Come here, boy." "All right, I'm a coming, no need to get your knickers in a twist," Naruto said. When Naruto stood in front of the mirror, Quirrell said, "Now boy, tell me, what do you see?" Naruto looked towards the mirror and saw himself reaching into his pocket and pull out the philosopher's stone, then stuck it back in his pocket. But Naruto, who didn't give a damn about the stone, said, "I see my mother laying on a bed sleeping as she has lost something." The disembodied voice said, "He's lying. Tell me the fucking truth, Potter," Quirrell shouted. "Let me speak to the boy," said the voice. Quirrell got nervous and said, "But master, you are not strong enough yet." "I am strong enough to talk to the boy, Quirrell," the voice said. Quirrell then undid his turbine when the turbine and had another face at the back. Then the face said, "Naruto, Potter, how nice to meet you again. Wow, I had heard about people being two-faced, but you take the cake, Voldemort," Naruto said, not really surprised. "You see what I have become as well as what I must do to survive, to live off of another creature like a mere parasite," Voldemort said. "Well, if will make you feel any better, you're not the first parasite I've met. Well, I just hope you aren't going to stalk me," Naruto said. "Unicorn blood can sustain, but it cannot give me a body. However, there is something that can, and it is conveniently in your possession, and don't you dare run," the Dark Lord said. Then Quirrell snapped his fingers and flames circled around them. Then Voldemort said, "Join me and live or suffer a horrific death." "Oh, like you could kill me after all. You couldn't kill me as a baby. What makes you think you could do it now?" Naruto remarked. "Well, I see you have what your parents, but tell me, Potter, do you want to see them again? All you have to do is give me the stone," Voldemort said. "As if I would do that, you two-faced moron," Naruto replied. "Kill him, Quirrell," Voldemort instructed. Quirrell launches himself at Naruto. However, just before Quirrell grabs Naruto, dodges Quirrell, then grabs him by the neck and said, "Like I said, dumbass, like you could kill me." Then the dragon talisman appeared in his eyes, but before he could use it, a sizzling sound and Quirrell started to turn to ash. And when Quirrell was ash, Naruto started to walk out of the pit of the room, but he didn't notice Voldemort's spirit come right at him and go through him and out the door just as Naruto passes out. When Naruto woke up a few days later and saw Dumbledore standing after a little chat, all the while the headmaster looked in Naruto's eye, trying to read his mind, and near the end of the chat Kurama suggested, "Hey kid, the old man is trying to read your mind and suggest that you and the Weasley Tem become friends like he has throughout the year." "Oh man, I am getting sick and tired of this crap," Naruto thought. Then he had a thought. "Hey Kurama, how about we do something that shows that coming into my mind is never a smart idea?" "Oh, what did you have in mind, Naruto?" Lily asked as she was worried about her son. "How about he sees an oversized fox plushie?" Naruto responded. "That might have been the smartest and only idea, kid. Looks like that potential mate of yours is a good influence," Kurama said with a teasing tone as he catches what Naruto meant. Then he lets the school's headmaster into Naruto's mind just enough to see him like Sasuke did in the anime. When Dumbledore saw Kurama, he exited Naruto's mind almost as fast as Naruto, using the power of the rabbit, then said with a worried tone, "Well, it's good that you are awake, Mr. Potter," then left the hospital wing. Later that day, Naruto was released. He was heading to the common to pack his things but was caught by his friends, and Fred asked, "Hey Naruto, you said that one of talismans could heal you. Why didn't it?" "Simple put, I don't have the power of the horse at the moment. Neville does," Naruto replied while Neville looks ashamed. "Why did you give that power to Neville, Naruto?" Hermione said with a scolding tone. Naruto, catching the tone in Hermione's voice, narrowed his eye and said, "So he can get his parents back, and that power might do just that. And trust me, I have only known a parent's love for a few months, and I know my love for my mother isn't as strong as any of yours, but know this, if I will gladly give it up again for any of my friends, as there will be a piece in your heart that will be missing." Hermione, surprised by this, was happy with the answer, then asked, "So what was you up to before we caught you?" "Oh, not much, just heading to the common room to start packing my things ready for tomorrow." Neville stepped forward and said, "Well, you don't have to worry about that, I have already done it for you." "Really, thanks Nev, so let's head to hall," Naruto said, same as Conan, but Neville gets the points that Ron gets. When the train pull up to the station, Naruto grabs his stuff and gave Neville Zazu, then goes and looks for his relatives and found at the entrance, and his uncle said, "Come on boy, we have things we want to do." And so Naruto hurried over to them. Then they went over to the car and they got Naruto's luggage in the boot and started to head home, or in Naruto's case, hell. After getting back to the Dursley residence, Vernon locks Naruto cases in the cupboard, then made Naruto move into the third bedroom that Dudley used to place all the thing that he had lost interest in or broke. When Naruto had cleared the room to a moderate state so he could sleep on the bed and move without hurting himself, he went to sleep. When Naruto was fast asleep, deep in Naruto mind, Lily walked up to Kurama and asked him, "Hey Kurama, wake up." Kurama, who was dozing off, opened his eyes to look at his host mother and said, "Hey Lily, what do you need from me?" "I need you to show me on how to use the sheep talisman so I can talk to my sister," Lily asked. "And why do you want to do that? She hate your kind," Kurama asked. Lily looks down and sighs, the said, I just want to know what happened. The truth is that she was happy at first, but after a couple of years she started to be mean about the fact I was different. I just want to know if it is how she really feels, or was it that we didn't see each other and we just grew apart. And with that, Kurama taught Lily on how to use the sheep talisman. Once Lily was out, she went straight to Petunia. Petunia Dreamscape. When Lily was in her sister's dreamscape, she was shocked to find that she was at an old-looking castle that screamed sorcery. Then she went to look for her sister, and when she found Petunia and was shocked once again, as Petunia was wearing clothes similar to what she wore when she was at Hogwarts. Then she went over to her and said, "Hey Petunia, long time no see." Petunia turns around shocked and said, "Lily, how are you even here?" "Well Petunia, I can say that I have no idea why I am here. There must something on your mind that involves me, as this is your dream," Lily replied, lying about the fact that she is alive somewhere and it would be the best way to get answers. "That makes sense," Petunia mumbled. "So this is what you dream about. You want to be a witch," Lily said with teasing tone, then in serious tone, "and here I thought you hated my kind." Petunia looks away as if she was ashamed of something, then said, "I never really hated you or the world that you entered." "Then why did it seem like you did hate all that practice magic?" Lily asked her sister. "It was to push you away," Petunia said. Shocked with the answer, Lily asked, "Why would you want to push me away?" "Well, for two reasons. The first, it's just that I wanted to be a part of it and be there for you. Then that greasy head bastard that you used to hang around before James's." "What about Snape?" Lily asked. "Well, when you wasn't around, he was a right bastard to me, always telling me that you shouldn't be hanging with someone like you," Petunia replied. Lily wasn't happy with how Snape said, "Why didn't you tell me what Snape was doing to you, pet? I would have so ditched him. Nobody messes with my family." "So what is the other reason?" "Well, I think it was during your second year at Hogwarts. Mum and Dad thought I was asleep. I overheard them talking about you and I heard them say that you was adopted," Petunia said, shocking Lily. Then spent the rest of the night chatting. When it was time for Lily to go, she said, "Well, pet, I need to go." Petunia looked at Lily and said, "Wait, don't go. I still need to make up for all the years that I was mean to you." "And you will, Petunia, and you can start with Naruto," Lily said as she disappears. Real world. When Lily came out of Petunia, she went back to Naruto, and about 10 minutes later Petunia woke up, then swings her feet of the bed so she is sitting on it, and said with a sigh and a depressed tone, "What a weird dream, but at least I feel better now that I talked to Lily again, though it is a shame that it was only a dream." Then she looks up and with a determined look and also in her voice said, "But she is right. If I want to make up for all the wrong I did to her, I can make it up to her, though Naruto, but how can I do it without Vernon getting angry?" Then she gets up and does what she would normally do. Meanwhile, Naruto, who was awake tidying the room when his mother said, "Morning honey, how are you this morning?" "I am good, thanks for asking, Ka-chan. So how was your night talking to Aunt Petunia?" Naruto thought back. "How did you know that I talked to me sister?" Lily asked. "Kurama," was all Naruto thought back. "Naruto, I need you to do something for me and it is important," Lily said. "Sure, what do you need me to do, Ka-chan?" Naruto replied. "Well, for starters, I need you to find out who my birth parents are," Lily asked, shocking Naruto. When the shock was gone, Naruto, "Wait, you're adopted? What happened last night?" For the 10 to 15 minutes Lily told Naruto what happened last night. Then he summoned the ninja Shadokans, then instructed them to find any and all information on his mother. Then thought, "Well, Ka-chan, they will be quite some time before they come back with the information." Began his summer. It was a few weeks before Naruto was due to go back to Hogwarts, and the only letter he got was from Neville, and that was to return the talisman and a note saying that he and his family was eternally grateful. Then he sent a Shadokan to get the ingredients to get the talisman back inside of him, and his relationship with his Aunt Saw slowly but surely was getting better, though she had to pretend that she hated him in front of Vernon. And he had discovered that he hadn't mastered the monkey talisman, as he discovered that when in a panic trying to get away from his cousin he turned into a Cerberus, even though he got in major trouble with Vernon when he got home that night, and he found out he could turn into dinosaurs. It is Naruto's, and he is in his room with Hedwig, who was attacking the lock that was on her cage as she wanted to spread her wing and fly, and he said, "I know, Hedwig, you want some exercise, but as long as Uncle Tem has the key there is nothing I can do, and I don't feel right turning you into another animal, so please be quiet." Vernon, who was expecting some important company, shouted, "Boy, get down here right now." And Naruto went downstairs and into the lounge where his mother's sister's family are dressed smartly, and Vernon said, "Now boy, you better keep that bloody bird cord or else." "Oh yeah, like you wouldn't be doing the same thing if you was in her position. After all, she is bored for being locked in a cage since I came back. Now I am going to go back upstairs before your precious clients get here so they wouldn't know that I exist," Naruto said before heading back to his room. Just as he got to the top of the stairs, the doorbell rang and he heard his uncle talk speaking. When we opened his bedroom, he saw a small creature jumping on his bed and heard his mother say, what is a house elf doing here, and one that doesn't belong to the Potters?" "Okay," Naruto thought, then said, "Excuse me, house elf, what are you doing here, and also who are you?" The house elf stopped jumping and looks around and says, Naruto Potter sir, such an honor it is, and I am Dobby the house elf. Okay, so why are you here? Naruto asked. I am here to warn you not to go back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year, Dobby warned. Not liking where this is going, he thought. Hey guys, what the betting that there is trouble this year? With your luck at attracting trouble, that would be a sucker's bet, Kurama said. I would have to agree with Kurama. Naruto, after all what happened last year, Lily said. So what is going on this year? Naruto asked. There is a plot, sir, a plot to make most horrible things happen, replied the house elf. What do you mean, what plot, and who's making them? Naruto asked. I can't say. Dobby granted, then started to headbutt his drawers. Then Naruto heard heavy footsteps, then he grabbed Dobby and threw him in the wardrobe just as the door opened and his uncle came in and said, Boy, you just ruined my Japanese golfer joke. One more sound and you will regret it. Also fix that door, and left before Naruto could say anything. Naruto opened the wardrobe door to let the elf out and said, Now see here, Dobby, if what you say is true, then that is more of a reason to go back, as I will never leave my friends there and deal with whatever is going on, and that is my ninja way, so I appreciate your concern. Friends that don't even write to Naruto Potter? Dobby asked. Naruto catches what Dobby just said and said with a tone that said, Tell the truth. Wait, how do you know that none of my friends wrote to me? Dobby nervously reached behind him and brought a pile of letters and said, Now Naruto Potter must not be angry at Dobby, as Dobby thought that if Naruto Potters didn't write to Naruto Potter, then he might not want to go back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Thanks to Naruto's trained eyes, saw the writing on the letter that was on top and saw that it was Hermione's writing, then said, Now Dobby, if you know what is good for you, you will hand me those letters now. No, Dobby said, and when Naruto went to grab to him, Dobby went under him and went straight to the door, opened it and went downstairs with Naruto close behind him, then stopped at the kitchen door and spotted a cake, then he snapped his fingers. When the cake started to float, Naruto said, Dobby, don't you dare do it. Then Naruto Potter must say he will not return to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year, Dobby said. If my friends are in danger, I will not stand back, Naruto said. Then for Naruto Potter's own good, Dobby has to do what Dobby has to do, Dobby said as he snapped his fingers and the cake started to float over to the house guest. Naruto pushed the elf out of his way and went to grab it, then the cake stopped above one of them, and just before Naruto could grab it, Dobby snapped his fingers and the cake fell on the guest, and Dobby snapped his fingers. He finished. The next day, Uncle Vernon was putting bars on Naruto windows while saying, You will never see your freaky friends or that school ever again. Naruto had received a letter from Ministry of Magic saying that he hadn't been expelled yet, but the next time he will, and with that he decided to get that appalled. But what Vernon didn't know was in the shed in the back garden is where Zazu was hiding, and the door opened and Petunia came in and said, Loss, if she knew something or someone was there. It's okay, Zazu, I am not here to harm you. After waiting a few minutes, nothing happened. Then she said, Somehow I know you wouldn't come out, so I brought a peace offering. Then she placed a handful of Zazu's favorite treat on the counter. Then after about a minute there was a small flask of fire, and she saw the most elegant bird she has ever saw. Said, My look at you, aren't you the most elegant I ever saw? That just shows that my nephew take great care of you. And Hedwig now came in close second. Once Zazu was finished with the treats, he went over to Petunia and rubbed his head on her hand, causing her to gently stroke him. After a minute of stroking, she said, Now Zazu, this is important. Then shows him a letter and said, I need you to deliver this letter to one of Naruto friends. Can you do that? Zazu nodded his head and held out his claw for Petunia to hand him the letter, and when she did, he disappeared in a burst of fire. After a few days since Petunia sent a letter to one of Naruto friend, and we find Naruto at his desk reading his chakra book when he heard a noise of an old car engine coming outside his window. Then he heard someone that Naruto knows say, Well, must be the place, right? Well, the letter that Neville sent us did say that there would be bars on his window, but I thought he was joking. Came another voice he also knew. And before Naruto could ask what they was doing here, his bedroom door opened and his aunt came in, walked up to the window and said, So you two here to rescue my nephew, like that Neville boy said? Yes ma'am, I am Fred, and the one that is driving is my twin brother George, Fred said as he was about to hand a bit of rope to either of them. When Petunia saw the rope, she knew what they was doing and said, No, don't come round to the front and pick him up by the door, that way Vernon wouldn't have to explain why there was a bar on the window and how it came off. After all, I know that you people like your secrecy. And with a nod they flew off. Then Naruto and Petunia went downstairs with Hedwig to grab Naruto's trunk. Petunia went to open the front door while Naruto went to get his school stuff, but found out that Vernon had placed a lock on the cupboard that used to be Naruto's bedroom, and as he didn't have the right tools to pick it, he turned to his aunt who was talking to Fred and George and said, Hey Aunt Petunia, we might have a little problem. What now? Petunia said when saw that locked cupboard, then said, Oh, you have got to be kidding, I can't believe he locked that cupboard. When Fred heard this he said, Allow me. Then walked up to the cupboard while pull out a lockpick set and set to work, and in a matter of seconds the was open and go tall of Naruto's school stuff out and onto the car. As Fred and George got into the car, Naruto said, See you next summer Aunt Petunia, and thanks for the help, I just you don't get in trouble. Petunia pulled Naruto into a hug and said, "Don't worry about me, I can just cover it up with you being freaky." Then she released him and pushed him to the car and said, "Now go before Vernon or Dudley wake up to use the toilet or are hungry." And with that done, Naruto got into the car and George drove fly off into the night sky. When the trio made it to the home of the Weasley home, it was morning. They snuck into the house, and before anyone could say or do anything, a woman came out of and shouted, "Where have you been? No note and you to your father's car without permission. What would have happened if you had been seen or worse hurt?" Then after a quick explanation she said, "You two best hope that I don't put bars on your windows." Then turned to Naruto and said, "Now it is nice to officially meet you. I am Molly now who want breakfast." Then she started to cook. When she dishing it up she was saying, "Now Naruto, I am sure that you and Ron are friends so you can sleep in his room." No offense Mrs. Weasley, but we aren't friends after all. You could say that I am an empath and I can feel that Ron's motive aren't just to be my friend, and I will not be friends with someone that will be mean to someone who was trying to help them. Nonsense, Ron is a sweet boy, Molly said. He might be, but there was an incident last year that almost cost someone their life because she was trying to help, Naruto said. What incident are you talking about? Molly asked. Well, Ron said some mean thing about a girl who was just trying to help him as she was smart, and so she spent the rest of the day crying, but nobody know about how it happened. But a troll got into the castle, and when we went to warn Hermione, the girl that your son made cry, the troll get into the girl's bathroom just before we got there and was swinging his club around trying to hit Hermione, but luckily I have always been the thinking on my feet and somehow managed to get her away from the troll, but because I was clinging to the troll he swung his club at his head to get me, but I saw it coming and jumped off, but the troll didn't notice that I had jump off and it knocked itself out, Naruto explained. So the girl didn't die, Molly said. That may be true, Mum, but if Ron hadn't said the thing he did about her, then Naruto and Neville wouldn't have to go and rescue her, Fred said. Then the boys was about to dig in. Ron showed, and when he saw Naruto he said, "What the bloody hell are you doing here?" Well, first your brothers was kind enough to come and get me after receiving a letter from Hermione, and now I am about to breakfast that your mother made for me, replied the ninja. When he took a bite out of the food, Kurama noticed something and said, "Hey kid, there is something wrong with a part of your brain." There is which part? Naruto thought replied. The part that is love comes from, replied the 10-tailed fox. And what is wrong with my son's love, live fox? Lily asked. Well, as you know, Lily, that I have been with Naruto since he was born in his past life, and until he knew I was here I paid close attention to how he thinks and feels, so I can tell as something is wrong so I can fix it, and from what I can tell is that it is being blocked and at the same time making a synthetic feeling of love, Kurama explained. You mean like a love potion? Naruto asked. Yes, precisely that, Kurama asked. Okay, I am jing to eat like I know nothing, and while I do that can you try and hold it back? Naruto asked. That I can do, but you know that I can't hold a feeling like love for long, Naruto, Kurama said. And you don't have to, cause I was going to ask you if can you mess with my body tonight, to that no matter how strong the potion is it will not affect me, Naruto explained. Oh, now I get it, you think that if Molly will spike your food and drink that I can do, Kurama said. It was noon and Naruto had met the father when the Weasley family got the Hogwarts list for what they needed for the year, and Naruto's was with them. They headed to Diagon Alley, but Naruto somehow ended up in Nocturne Alley but was saved by Hagrid, who was there to get something for Hogwarts, and he led Naruto back to the Weasley family, and along the way the duo met Hermione. Then Naruto and Hermione said their byes to Hagrid and went into the bookshop while Arthur and Hermione's parents stayed outside chatting about the Muggle world. Inside the shop was unusual packed, and when the duo get to the Weasley family, who was at the front, just heard someone say, "Now ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the man who doesn't need an introduction, Gilderoy Lockhart." As Gilderoy was posing for some photos he saw someone and said, "Well, I'll be Naruto Potter." As the cameraman moved to get Naruto, the latter quickly sent chakra to his feet, and the cameraman was struggling to get Naruto over to Lockhart, and Naruto said, "Hey cameraman, if you know what is good for your health let me go," and the cameraman was scared, let him go. Then everyone went on with their business. After the book signing, Naruto said, "Hey Fred, George the First, I'm going need to go to Gringotts to deal with something important, okay?" "Sure mate, we will tell Mum for you, but what is it about?" Fred asked. "Nothing much for you to worry about," Naruto replied before heading to Gringotts. When Naruto got to the bank he headed to head cashier, and the cashier said, "Hello, what brings you here?" "Greetings, I am Naruto Potter and I would like to speak to my account manager Snapfist," Naruto replied. "Okay, one moment, I will send someone to get your account manager," said the goblin. Then he sent a goblin to get him. After a couple of minutes the Potter's account manager came up and said, "Greeting Mr. Potter, if you would follow me then we can start." And then they went to private room. Once there the goblin said, "Please wait here as director Ragnarok want to see you," then left to get the director. After half an hour Snapfist came back with the Ragnarok, and the latter said, "Greetings Mr. Potter and thank you for finally coming to see us." Naruto looked at the goblin in charge of Gringotts confused and said, Not to sound ignorant, but what do you mean?" Now the two goblins are confused and Snapfist said, What do you mean? I thought we goblins have been sending letters to you for the past year, so when you came here today we thought you finally responded. I am sorry Snapfist, but I have not received a letter from Gringotts all my life, and the reason I came here today was to claim my right as heir to the houses. Naruto replied, then went on to say, but we can also talk about why you have been trying to contact me first, as you have waited longer. That is noble of you, Mr. Potter. First is that after you left last year something came up that said that you had 3 spirits attached to you and we are curious that they might harming you, Ragnarok said. Oh yeah, I know about them. When I was here last year I was aware of one of them, but as the school year went on I came across a word that screamed dark, so I asked the professor that was with me last year what a Horcrux was. Then I had the spirit I was aware of look if I was one, and during the search he came across the second spirit, which is my mother. Them confirmed that I was a Horcrux. Now I am trying to find a way to get rid of it without killing me, Naruto explained. Ragnarok was shocked to find out that the ninja wizard in front of him knew that he was a Horcrux and knew that if not exercised properly it could kill him, but was suspicious about the other 2 spirits. Said, Mr. Potter, I am not questioning your judgment, but how can you know that the other 2 spirits are what you say they are? I can see it from your point of view, Naruto said, then began to think of an idea. Hey kid, why don't you bring the 2 goblins into your mindscape, Kurama said. That might not be a bad idea, Kurama, Naruto thought. Then he turned to the goblins and said, well, how about I show you? Ragnarok looked at Naruto like he was crazy and said, how are you going to do that? Simple, I just bring you 2 into my mindscape, Naruto replied. And just how are you going to do that, Mr. Potter? Snapfist said. Simple, Naruto said, brought both his hands up in fists, then said, all you have to do is bump your fists against mine. Not sure what to do, the goblins decided to do it and see if these 2 spirits are who Naruto claims them to be, and bumped fists with Naruto. Then as soon as their fist touched Naruto's, their wood went black. Inside Naruto mindscape. When Ragnarok and Snapfist both came to, they found themselves in what looks like Gringotts Bank. Then a door opened and Naruto walked in, followed by a woman that appeared to be late 20s early 30s, and Naruto said, hope you like it, I made it so you 2 will feel comfortable while we conduct our business. Both goblins was shocked that a 12-year-old boy changed his mindscape, as he called it, to help them feel comfortable, and Ragnarok said, that is mighty nice of you, Mr. Potter, so I take it this woman is claiming to be your mother. Lily, not liking the accusation, said, now listen here, Director Ragnarok, I am not claiming to be Naruto mother, I am his mother. Then she went on and say things that only the real Lily Potter Evans would know. After Lily was finished, both goblins bowed and Ragnarok said, I am sorry about accusing you, are not who you claim to be. Lily said, that is all right, Director Ragnarok, I understand. After all, you are looking out for someone who holds 6 most noble and ancient houses, and 4 of them have been around since the founding of Gringotts Bank, and all witch and wizards know is that the longer a house has been with Gringotts, the more care and loyalty they get. That is right, Lady Potter. Now can we see the second spirit? Ragnarok said. Of course, this way please, Naruto said as he led them to Kurama. When the group of 4 reached the 10-tailed fox, the goblins was extremely intimidated by him, as he was about double the size of a troll or a giant, and when the fox saw the group he said, greeting Ragnarok and Snapfist, I am the 10-tailed fox Kurama, and I have been with Naruto since he first birth, then went into little detail about how Naruto life was. When Kurama was done, Ragnarok looked to the fox and said, show me his life in his past life. Kurama was shocked at what the goblin said and said, are you sure you want to see it? Ragnarok stood firm and he showed it when he said, of course, after all it can't be as bad as you said it was. With a sigh the Kurama said, very well goblin, I will show you. All you have to do is stand still. Then being very careful he placed a claw at the goblin's forehead. After a couple of seconds, the goblin looked like he was close to crying, then turned to Naruto and said, can we get out of here? And Naruto and the goblins felt a pull and they found themselves in the real world. Unknown to Naruto, he has the director's respect and will gain the entire banks when Ragnarok tells the staff about Naruto and show them the memories. Real world. While the goblins gained their surrounding, Naruto created a clone that had Lily's spirit. Then Ragnarok sent a goblin to set a ritual to remove a Horcrux safely up, and while it was getting set up, the goblins and Naruto started on what Naruto came for. After a couple of hours, a now Horcrux-free Naruto left Gringotts' hair, though he left the rings in the bank and book from the Potter Vault about being an heir, and left a couple of enhanced clones to learn about potions with Ragnarok's permission. Naruto got his stuff for school, and when he found the Weasley family, they was at a cafe waiting for him. Then they headed to the barrow. Over the month, and Naruto has been reading his book about what a heir can and can't do, and saw that it was common practice for heirs to have marriage, and asked Lily if he has any, which she relied he does, to Daphne Greengrass, and also a member of the Delacour family, and maybe to 1 or 2 more, as the Potters has many friends, and also the Shadowcans that Naruto had looking for Lily's birth parents came back with an interesting piece of information, but just to clarify it, he went to the Gringotts and got the full test. It is the day that the students head to Hogwarts, and somehow the Weasley family was running late, and everyone but Ron and Naruto had gone through the barrier that goes to platform 9 3/4, and when Naruto goes and tries and goes through, he was met with a solid pillar, but he didn't have time to get his bearing when Ron went into him. Luckily one of the station's staff members saw the crash and went over and asked, "Are you two okay?" Naruto looks up to the staff member and said, "Yeah, we're fine. Luckily must have been my unlucky day for me to lose control of the trolley. Then my friend's brother loses control of his and goes into me. Must be well as long as you're both okay. Have a good day," the staff member said before going back to do her job. When the two boys got to the feet and Ron said, "What the bloody hell happened?" "Well, Ron, if I hazard a guess, I would say the barrier is sealed," Naruto said as he gets his and Ron's trolleys in order. As Ron was touches the clock strikes 11 and he said, "Oh no, what are we going to do? The train is leaving." "Well, I say that we wait for someone to show up," Naruto said. "Hey Naruto, how about we use my dad's car Naruto, and we could fly to Hogwarts," Ron said. Naruto looks at Ron shocked and said, "Ron, I know you can't be that bloody stupid." "Well, I am not going to sit around and do nothing until someone shows up," Ron said, then grabs his trolley, then speeds out the station to the car and loads it, and by the time Naruto get outside Ron was already flying away. With a sigh Naruto sat down at a bench that was nearby, looked at his two birds and asked them, "So do you two say give it an hour?" before writing to Minerva saying that there was a problem with the barrier, and both Hedwig and Zazu agreed. It has been a quarter on an hour when Naruto noticed two females. One was about the age his mother should be, she has a manacle, and the other was a few years older than him. Before Naruto could say anything, he heard Lily say, "Hey, isn't that Amelia Bones? Looks like she's been promoted. Go talk to her, Naruto." "Okay, but who is she?" Naruto asked. "Well, we became friends after Severus started to hang out with Draco's father Lucius Malfoy, and we got closer after Severus called me a mudblood, a foul name that self-righteous purebloods use for non-magical parents, though I am not so sure if I am a muggleborn after what Petunia told me. Anyway, thanks for sending your shadow con to find my birth parents, and when we graduated Hogwarts she became a magical cop called an Auror," Lily said. "Not a problem, Ka-chan, I am proud to do," Naruto thought to his mother, then he got up and walks over to the females. When Naruto was close enough he said, "Excuse me, but are you Amelia Bones?" The one with the manacle turned and said, "Yes, I am, and you are?" Naruto gains a mischievous look and said, "A son of one of your friends since your days in Hogwarts that is assumed dead." Amelia looks at Naruto confused for a few minutes before saying, "I am sorry, but I don't have any friends that are assumed dead." "Oh, in that case allow me to introduce myself. I am Naruto Potter," Naruto said, causing Amelia to gasp. "Then what are you doing here? You should be on the train heading to Hogwarts," Amelia said. Naruto scratched the back and said, "How about we go someplace court?" And with a nod from Amelia, understanding that someone might overhear them, then leads him to someplace private with the younger girl following. When the trio got to a secure location, Naruto with a nervous tone said, "Well, about the barrier, you see, when I was about to go thought it, but it was sealed." The two females was shocked, then the younger one said, "What do you mean I was sealed?" Naruto looks at her and said, "Exactly just as it sounds," and was about to say her name, then said, "Who are you?" "Oh, my name is Nymphadora Tonks, but call me Nymphadora. I will kill you," Tonks said. "Oh, I doubt you could do that, Nymphadora," Naruto said with a chuckle, and was shocked when he saw her hair change color and said, "Cool trick. What else can you do, Nymphadora?" Before anything else could be done, Amelia said, "Are you sure that the barrier was sealed?" "Yeah, I am, cause all the Weasley family, but the youngest son went though just before me," Naruto explained. "And where is the Weasley?" asked Tonks. "The dumbass took his father's car and went after the train," Naruto replied. "Wait, you mean Arthur's flying car?" Amelia asked. "That's the one, and the reason I didn't go with him is because I didn't want to ruin my education, so I was going to wait an hour before sending a letter to Professor McGonagall saying that I might be late," Naruto said. "Any ideas what could seal the barrier to the platform?" Amelia asked Tonks, who shook her head. Naruto remembered the warning he got from Dobby, then mumbled, "This can't a coincidence." Tonks, who heard this, asked, "What can be?" turned to Amelia and said, "I might have an idea, Amelia." "What is it?" Amelia asked. "An house elf," Naruto replied. "And what makes you think that?" Tonks asked. "Well, a few weeks ago a house elf showed up at Aunt Petunia's house and tried and persuade me not to go back to school this year, as his words were, "There is a plot, sir, a plot to make most horrible things happen, and all summer then there is the fact that he was intercepting my mail from my friends, hoping that if I didn't get any I would think that they had forgot about me, so I wouldn't want to go back," Naruto said. "Wait, about that time there was a report for underage levitation spell, but as it was their first time they sent a warning that was you," Amelia said. "You're half right, but the one that did the magic was the elf, probably doing it to protect me in some weird way, plus there is the fact that I can do the spell without the doing the spell," Naruto said. Amelia and Tonks looks at Naruto as if he was crazy, and the former said, "Nice try, Mr. Potter, but I doubt that is possible." Naruto gust smirked, and both Aurors saw a rooster appear in Naruto's eyes, and the manacle that Amelia started to levitate then went over and was placed on her other eye, and Tonks said, "Okay, that was neat. How did you do that?" Sorry, but it's a secret, but I might tell you someday, Naruto said. Naruto, let me talk to Amelia, Lily asked. Sure. Naruto thought, then said shadow clone jutsu. This sudden action caused the oars get on edge, but was stunned to see an exacted replica of Naruto. Henge, Naruto's mother, processed clone, said. When the smoke cleared, Amelia looked like she was seeing a ghost, then fainted. Tonks looked over to Lily and said, cool, how did you do this? Tell you after we wake Amelia up, Lily said as Naruto gently shook Amelia. Amelia was woken up by someone shaking her. The first thing she saw when she woke up was someone with golden blonde hair and sapphire blue eyes, then remembered what happened before she fainted. Then she saw Lily and said, you can't be here, you're dead. But all Lily did was whispered something in her ear and her eyes widened, then said, okay, you're Lily, so how are you here? Well, I will tell you how I am here, but you both need to swear not to tell anyone. But you don't have to swear on your magic, mind you, I am not that cruel. Lily said. When the two oars nodded, she told them everything from who and what Naruto really was to how she actually can't have kids, then to Kami giving saw how she and James was good people and decided to give her a chance to be the mother she was meant to be to his other powers. Amelia and Tonks looked like fish out of water when through shock past. The latter said, let me get this straight, Naruto is a reincarnated ninja with a power like magic that when used properly can even control the elements and put people on an illusion. Naruto, and Lily nods. Has 12 magical stones known as talismans, and it is based on the Chinese zodiac inside him, and each one has a different power, some based on the saying around said animal. Gets another nod. And the only way to remove the talisman is though Kai magic, and said magic is something that even muggles can use if Naruto chooses to teach them. Again got a nod. With Kai magic people can tell if people are good or bad by the color green is good and red is bad. Another nod. I need a drink and a sit down. I hear ya, bosses, Tonks said. Amelia turned to Tonks and said, Tonks, get Mr. Potter to Hogwarts. I believe we have taken too much of his time and we have to unseal the barrier and deal with the damage that what Mr. Weasley might have caused. And the close with Lily's spirit dispersed and she went back into her son, and Amelia took out her wand and shrunk Naruto luggage, then placed it in a bag, then gave it to Naruto, then said, oh, and Tonks, you are to stay there until the new year and to let me know if there is trouble that would cause a house elf to do this, let me know. Right, bosses, Tonks said while saluted, then lead Naruto to a place where witches and wizards used to get to the Hogwarts Express and headed to the 3 broomsticks in Hogsmeade. Then from there they headed to Hogwarts. When the duo got to Hogwarts, they met with Professor McGonagall, who said, well, now isn't this been a while, Nymphadora, what brings you here? Well, Professor, I am here for 2 reasons and they're both work. You see the barrier sealed up, leaving Naruto and a Weasley in the Muggle side of the station and the Weasley to Arthur's car and is flying here, so director is doing damage control and he would be in trouble if there is some serious damage to the secrecy of the magical world, Tonks said. My, that is bad. So do you know what sealed the barrier? Asked the professor. Well, that is the other reason. Naruto thinks that it was a house elf that sealed the barrier as a way to protect Naruto, claiming that something bad is going to happen this year, so the director is keeping me here until New Year or if the trouble shows up, Tonks replied. Oh, hopefully it's not that bad, the professor said. Hey professor, before I go off and do something, can I ask you what happened to your daughter? Naruto asked with a smirk. The professor was shocked, as there was no way that the 12-year-old boy in front of her shouldn't even know that she had a daughter. Said, and how do you know that I had a daughter, Mr. Potter? Well, professor, I had some of my Shadow Khan do some background check as she asked me to do it, Naruto replied, then hand the professor the findings and said, and this is what they found out. Minerva looks at the folder and saw that it has the boy's mother on it, so she opens it and read the first page and was shocked when she came across the same thing that made Naruto and his mother go into shock and said, this can't be right. Yes, it is you are the birth mother of one Lily that was adopted by the Evans family. You trust what the Shadow Khan? Minerva asked. Yes, I do, Ba-chan, cause you see, shortly after I got the Mask of Tarakudo I had some look into why Dumbledore blocked most of my potential, and it turns out all because of some stupid prophecy that goes something like this: the one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches. Born to those who have thrice defied him, born as the 7th month dies. And the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not. And either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord will be born as the 7th month dies, Naruto replied, quoted. So what does that mean, Whiskers? Tonks said. Well, from what I understand, that the one that will vanquish some death-fearing asshole will be born when the July ends, and whose parents have defied his 3 times before the child was conceived, and said asshole will mark the baby and said baby will be his equal, and the last part is that one of them die, and I will say one thing, that is I will not be die that easy just because some old guy believes that I need to, Naruto said. And what about the part that says have power that the Dark Lord know not? Asked the Auror in training. Well, that could mean anything from my chakra to talisman, or could be something else entirely, Naruto said. So what are you going to do, Naruto? Asked Minerva. What I do best, cause a lot of trouble, Ba-chan, Naruto said with his foxy smile. All Minerva could do was smile at Naruto and said, but I take it you did more than just relied on what your Shadow-Con said, right? Right, I did do more. I went to Gringotts and got the inheritance test. Naruto relied. Then he said, hey Ba-chan, I am going to Hagrid's and see how Brightstar and Silvally are doing, as I am sure Hagrid might have tried and tell me something important, and I also need to give him 2 vault cards. One is to his vault, as I am paying him to look after Brightstar and Silvally, and the other card it to buy the stuff for Brightstar and Silvally and stuff to look after them, and also you don't have to worry about anyone finding out about you and me as the only people that knows, or everyone as well as Amelia. Then started to head to Hagrid's hut. Alright Naruto, but you need to tell what happened at Gringotts, Minerva said. Alright Ba-chan, and I also need to talk to you about something, Naruto shouted back. When Naruto got to he saw Hagrid giving Brightstar a bath and said, hey Hagrid, how are you? Ah Naruto, I am doing good, Hagrid replied, then said, how come you never replied to my letters I sent ya? Sorry about that Hagrid, there has been a crazy house elf intercepting all my mail for most of the summer, Naruto apologized. Oh, that sounds interesting, so tell me about it, Hagrid said. Alright, but you have to let me bath Brightstar, Naruto said. Alright, I supposed after all she is your unicorn, Naruto, Hagrid said as he handed Naruto tack and instructed Naruto how Brightstar liked to be bathed. Then Naruto told Hagrid about the elf. Once Naruto finished his story he said, so anything else I might need to know? As a matter of fact, there as I was tinkering with Silvally with his permission and would have had yours, but because of the elf you didn't give it and found that he could talk, and I was looking around Godric Gryffindor's chamber and found 5 discs, Hagrid said. I am going to take a guess and say that these discs has something to do with Silvally, Naruto asked. Got that right, master, Silvally said, coming out of the paddock that Naruto helped Hagrid build. Then said, I will admit that I did forgot about them, so I will tell you about I get them after a little time had passed. After I became Godric's familiar I felt useless, I went to Godric and told him how I felt, so he took me to someone that might help, and as you know that I am an artificial being, I can be modified, and that is what Godric's friend did to me. Then he created the disc that hold 5 elemental elements, and if you insert them into me I will gain control of that element. Nice, so what elements do the discs have? Naruto asked. Earth, fire, wind, water, thunder, Hagrid said as he handed the discs to Naruto, then said, hope you're not mad that I did it without your permission. Naruto just waved it off and said, nah, I'm not mad that you did it, but as long as you had Silvally's then I am happy, plus you did try, not your fault. Had an elf was intercepting my mail. Then he reaches into one of his pockets and pulls out the cards and said, here Hagrid, these cards are for you. One is for looking after Brightstar and Silvally, and the one with Brightstar and Silvally on it is to buy the thing that Brightstar and Silvally need. Hagrid took the cards and said, thanks Naruto, but ya didn't have to get me a new vault and card, I am happy to look after them. I know that Hagrid, but I felt like I was taking advantage of you caring personality, also they are mine, so it seems right to pay someone to look after them when I can't. Hagrid with a teary eye said, thank you Naruto for caring. Also you should be getting a bank statement on how much you have and how much is in the care vault any day now. Also if I do get any more creatures for you to look after your pay will increase, Naruto said, and for the rest of the he and Hagrid talked about other things until it was time for Hagrid to get the fist years, and Naruto headed for the Great Hall. Naruto is sitting at his house table when then other students came in. When everyone was settled Naruto was chatting to his friends about various things that they did over the summer when Hermione said, hey Naruto, why didn't you reply to any of my letters I sent for the first half of summer? Year same with me, apart from the letter that your aunt sent me using Zazu and the letter that I sent you saying thanks for helping my parents, Neville said. No problems mate, after all I had something that might have helped, so I did what I thought was the right move, Naruto said to, and I am sorry about that. The thing was a house elf was intercepting all my mail trying to stop me from coming back this year, Naruto. This news shocked Neville and said, so somebody doesn't want you here this year? I wouldn't say that Nev, he seemed like he was doing these things without his master's knowledge, Naruto said. What make you say that Naruto? Hermione said. It's just that he seemed more concerned about my safety than anything else, because he told me that something bad is going to happen this year and I shouldn't go back to school this year, Naruto relied. Great, another year of breaking rules, Hermione groaned. Oh come Hermione, you knew what you was getting into when we met in Diagon Alley last year. For some reason trouble always finds me, Naruto said. Before long Professor McGonagall came in with the first years and the sorting ceremony started, and once the sorting was done Naruto saw the headmaster and his grandmother leave and said, looks like Ron showed up. And how do you know that, Naruto? Neville asked. Because I just saw Professor McGonagall and Dumbledore just left and I know Ron done something stupid, Naruto said. Fred and George had heard what Naruto had said, so Narukans, what did Ronikans do to get in trouble on the day that we arrive at Hogwarts? Well, as you know, we couldn't get on the train because the barrier closed before me and Ron could get thought, and he thought he would use the car to chase the train, Naruto said, shocking the Weasleys. Then they chatted about other things. Later after dinner and all the houses was in the common rooms when Professor McGonagall came in to collect Naruto to hear what happened at Gringotts, saw that Naruto wasn't in the common room but saw two of her grandson's friends and said, "Afternoon, Miss Granger. Mr. Longbottom, do you know where I can find Mr. Potter?" "I do believe he said he wanted to sleep," Neville said. "Then do you mind going to get him and wake him up if you need to?" asked the elderly professor. "Okay, Professor," Neville said as he got up and went up to the bedrooms. After 5 minutes Neville came down with Naruto and said, "What can I do for you, Professor?" "Well, you did say you was going to explain what happened," the professor said. "Oh yeah, I did say that. Sorry, Professor, I forgot," Naruto said. "That all right, Naruto, now come," Minerva said. Then she lead him to her office. Once in the office, Minerva said, "All right, Naruto, please explain that made you think to go to the Gringotts to get full test." Naruto sat down and said, "Well, to start, it begins at the start of summer. You see, Ka-chan was telling me that Auntie was happy to find out that Ka-chan was a witch, but as the years went by she began to hate Ka-chan, so the first night there she used the sheep talisman to have a chat with Auntie and found out that Ka-chan was adopted and that Professor Snape was also being mean to Petunia, and as I was cleaning the Petunia's house like I usually do, Ka-chan was telling me what happened the night before. Then she asked me to send some Shadowcon to try and find her birth parents, and so I did, and for a month and a half there was no news. Then one morning while I was round the Weasleys, the Shadowcans that I had looking for Ka-chan's birth parents showed up while we was having breakfast." Flashback. Naruto was sitting down at the dining table having breakfast with Molly, Arthur, Bill, Percy, Fred, George, Ron and Ginny, who was trying to hide from Naruto for some reason, and Naruto noticed a dark shadow came into and left the and went into the living room and thought, they must have found something. As Naruto watched the shadow, he didn't notice that Bill also saw it, and the later said with a shocked tone, "What was that?" "What was what, Bill?" Molly asked. "I just saw a really dark shadow come in here and went into the living room," Bill relied, and Fred and George knew what Bill saw. Arthur, Molly and all the kids that can use a wand without getting in trouble with the ministry got out their wands and headed to the living to deal with the Shadowcon, and Molly said, "You kids stay here, we will deal with whatever that thing is." Naruto knew he had to think fast. He knows the Shadowcans will not attack them, as he gave all 9 clans not to attack anyone unless they are provoked, and they will use lethal force on any attacker. And without thinking, the rabbit symbol appeared in his eyes, and a split second later he was in between the Weasleys and a kneeling ninja Shadowcan holding a folder. And Naruto says to the Weasleys, "Stop, he is not here to cause anyone harm, he is only here to report on a mission I had him do at the start of summer, so put your wands away and none of you will be hurt." Molly did like what Naruto said, "Are you threatening us, Naruto?" "Of course, not, Molly. The Shadowcans have orders not to attack anyone unless they are provoked, and they always use lethal force," Naruto said. Molly, not liking what Naruto was saying, said to convince Naruto that the being behind him was defending a creature that appears to be dark in nature to step aside, and how can we trust that they will not attack us? Naruto just smirked and said, "Why not ask the twins? After all, they did use some of them to pull pranks of last year. Heck, they even went into the Shadow Realm, though they did say that they don't want to go back." Fred and George came in and said, "It's true, Mum, unless Naruto or someone who is wearing one of the Oni masks says otherwise, they will not harm anyone." And Molly reluctantly stood down, and Naruto turned around and picked up the folder and read it, but also made sure that none on the Weasleys was reading over his. Once he was done, he stuck it under his arm, turned his attention to the ninja Khan and said, "Thank you, and you are dismissed." And with a little head bow the Khan went into his shadow, then the shadow disappeared. Then Naruto went upstairs to put the folder, but what none of the Weasleys know apart from the twins was that Naruto wasn't going to put it in his trunk. After 5 minutes he came down and said, "Hey Arthur, mind if I use your flow powder to go to Diagon Alley, as I need to go to Gringotts?" "Sure. I don't mind you using our flow network to go to Diagon, but why do you need Gringotts?" Arthur replied. "Just need to confirm something, and I hear that Gringotts are the best," Naruto replied. As Naruto headed to the fireplace when Molly said, "Naruto, when you get back you will have to tell us what that thing was." "Actually, I don't have to, Molly, as what I do is none of yours," Naruto said, not like that the lady in front of him is telling him what to do and wasn't his mother or someone he care about. Then said happily, "Well, see y'all later," then disappeared in a sea of green flames. When Naruto arrived at Diagon Alley, he headed straight to the bank and got in line. After a while he reached the head cashier, who said without looking up, "Greeting, wizard, what brings you to Gringotts Bank today?" "Greeting, I am Naruto Potter, and I would like to have a test done and also talk to the Potter account manager, please," Naruto replied. The goblin looked up and saw Naruto, said, "Of course, noble Potter, I will get account Snapfist for you, please sit down in the waiting area." Then the goblin jumped of his seat and hurried of some place to get the Potter account. Wonder what that was about, Naruto thought. "I would like to know what is with the noble thing," Kurama said. I think it might be to do with the fact you showed the director Naruto's memories from his past life, all the disturbing this that happened and still came out still kind and considerate of others, and goblins have and are known to give titles to those that deserve it, like if Naruto kills a really dangerous beast then he will be known as Beast Slayer Potter when he come here, Lily said. After waiting for 5 minutes the goblin came over and said, I am sorry noble Potter, but account manager Snapfist is busy at the moment, but your meeting be taken by King Ragnarok as he has things to talk to you about and was about to send you a letter, so if you will follow me, and with a nod Naruto got up and followed the goblin. Then the goblin stopped outside one of the meeting, knocked, then waited for a come in, and when it came the goblin instructed Naruto to go in, then went back to his station to open the door and walk in. On the other side of the room was the king of goblins, who said, Greetings noble Potter, please have a seat. And Naruto does. Then the goblin continued, I am so glad that you visited us today. We at Gringotts was about to send a letter to you as we had found some unusual activities with your trust vault and also the cards you requested for one Rubius Hagrid, one as to his vault with your request for payment for looking after your creatures that you somehow gained, and the other is for getting their food, bedding, etc. Naruto took the cards and said, Thanks Ragnarok. Then he sealed them away before continuing, Now before we begin your stuff, do you have a test that allows you so see who our grandparents are? We have only one test for that noble Potter, replied the Goblin King. Okay, what does the test do? Naruto asked. It is like the identification but more detailed, like one who your grandparents are, also titles you own and will gain, and tell you what abilities you have either born with or gained, also tells you any marriage contract you have, Ragnarok said. Cool, I'll take the test, sound cool to know what abilities I have, Naruto said. Right, that will be 3 galleons noble Potter, but no need to worry as we can take it directly out of your account, Ragnarok said, then instructed a goblin to get the test. Then he turned to Naruto and said, Now while we wait, how about we get to what we need to talk about with your account? Alright, sounds good to me, but first can you please tell me what is with the noble Potter that I have been called since I get here, Naruto asked. That is your title that I bestowed upon you after your last visit, which I need to thank you for, but we can get to that later, Ragnarok said. Cool, but I am guessing my title and what you are thanking me aren't related, Naruto said. Quite observant of you and correct noble Potter, the title is because I told and showed the goblins of Gringotts what happened when we went into your mindscape, then we voted about giving you a title, then the rest is history, and as for the other thing is we at Gringotts owe you our deepest thank you, then he bowed. No need for that Ragnarok, but do you mind telling me why you are thanking me, Naruto asked. Well, you see, during the ritual that removed the Horcrux from you, it somehow sent a magical wave that resonated with some dark artifacts that should never have been brought here, Ragnarok explained. Well, glad I could help knowingly or unknowingly, Naruto said. No, then on to business, as you have become Gringotts' most important client. I have decided to change the manager of the Potter accounts as well as your other vaults to me, and so I decided to go over past statements and saw there have been some strange withdrawals and transfers, Ragnarok said as he handed Naruto the statements. Naruto looks at the statements and said, So what are you going to do about it, Ragnarok? Well, at the moment we are looking into it, but I am ashamed to admit that whoever is doing it, they have covered their tracks very well, Ragnarok said. Well, there is one way to find out, Ragnarok, Naruto said. There is, what is it? Ragnarok asked. Have you ever heard the term follow the money? Naruto asked. Ragnarok shook his head and said, I have not. What does the saying mean? Well, to simple put, it is a way for police, a muggle version of an order to catch criminals like a thief, mob bosses, and power-hungry business owners that want to expand, Naruto replied. Sound like something we at Gringotts need to keep an eye on, Ragnarok said to himself, then asked, So how does it work? Quite simple really. If the police suspects that someone is involved, they look at every possible lead that could help them, including looking at the bank statements to see if there has been any suspicious withdrawals or transfers, then they follow that money, Naruto explained. But how does that help us find out who is taking you money, noble Potter? Ragnarok asked. Easy, just place tracking spell on the money in the vault, then we wait for the next transaction, then we will have our answer on who is stealing from me, Naruto said. After hearing what the reincarnated boy's plan was, Ragnarok had a sly smile and said, You know something, that is properly the best idea I have ever heard, plus it might help the ore out and we can make a profit. I will send a letter to the head of ores after we are finished here about a deal. Thank you again, noble Potter, you have helped Gringotts, Ragnarok said. You welcome, Ragnarok, Naruto said. While Naruto and Ragnarok was waiting for the goblin to came back with the test for Naruto, the duo was having a casual conversation when Naruto remembered something, said, Hey Ragnarok, I have something that might help you and me with you getting mail to me without removing the spell that diverts all my Gringotts mail. This catches the goblin's interests and said, And how can you do that? Naruto gave the goblin a foxy smile and said, Like this, then did some hand seals, then said summoning jutsu. Then there was a poof of smoke, and when I cleared, Gamakichi stood there. Then he greeted Naruto. Yo Naruto, who are you? Then he saw the king of goblins and said, So Naruto, who is your creepy looking friend here? He looked like he could give anyone nightmares. I think I will let him introduce himself. Kichi, though I think it would be an idea you go first, Naruto said. Hello there. I am Gamakichi, next head of the Gama Summoning Clan, the toad introduced. Nice to meet you, Gamakichi. I am the king of goblins and the director of Gringotts Bank that you are in, and my name is Ragnarok said. Gamakichi then turned to Naruto and said, well, Naruto Pops has talked to the Gama elders and they said they want to talk to the person that you talked about. Well, that good as he is right here, so you can reverse me and I will drag Ragnarok with me, Naruto said, and as he walked round the desk and placed a hand on Ragnarok's shoulder, then Kichi disappeared in the same way he appeared, and then Naruto and Ragnarok followed in the same manner. Mount Myoboku. When Naruto and Ragnarok appeared Mount Myoboku, Ragnarok looked a little dizzy. When it subsided he looked around and saw a dull, rusty red toad, a brighter red color markings around his eyes and on his lips and chest, and was about the size of Kurama, and he said, hey there Naruto, nice of you to come. Then he noticed Ragnarok, then said, and you brought something else. Then he gave Ragnarok his attention, then said, greetings being, I am the chief of the Gama clan Gamabunta, and who and what are you? Ragnarok looked up to meet the toad's eyes and said, greeting Chief Gamabunta, I am what people in my world call a goblin, and I am their king, also the director of a bank for the magical folks in magical Britain, and my name is Ragnarok. So you're the race that Naruto told us about, said that you are noble in your own right, respects those that respects you, and perfect at handling money, so it is an honor to meet you, the chief toad said. And the same to you, to Chief Gamabunta, though I wish that Naruto had told me about you, Ragnarok said. Gamabunta laughed and said, don't take it to heart, Ragnarok, he has had a hard life that grown men crumble thanks to him holding the nine-tailed fox. Ragnarok looked at the toad confused and said, wait, I must have misheard you, but did you say 9? With that Bunta nodded, then Ragnarok continued, but I went into Noble Potter's mind a couple of weeks ago and met Kurama, but he had 10 tail. Naruto then stepped in before Bunta or Ragnarok say anything and began to tell them about when he met Kami. Flashback. Naruto took a few moments to think it, though, then said with conviction in his voice, okay, I will do it. Kami clamped her hands together and said, wonderful, now on to the important bits. Then she waved her hand, then next to Naruto a little fox with 10 tails appeared. The 10-tailed fox looked around, saw Naruto and said, hey kid, what is going here? Naruto rubbed the back of his neck and said, well, here's the thing, Kurama. Naruto then Kurama what Kami had told him, and that's about it. Only you would get this type of offer, Kurama said, then turns to the goddess, then said, so what going to happen to me? Kami looked at the little fox, then said, well, that is your decision, Kurama. Well then, if that's the case, I want to stay with the kid, Kurama said. What if you come with me? Then there is no way to get back, and I thought you wanted to go home and be with your Biju siblings, Naruto said. And you were like a son to me, I might not have held you, but it was me you came to when you had problems, and I have watched you grow up. Kami, who had a smirk, said, oh Kurama, I am surprised you haven't noticed it yet. Noticed what yet? The 10-tailed fox said. Naruto took a long look at the fox, then noticed something, then said, Kurama, you have 10 tails. Kurama looked behind him and saw that he indeed did have 10 tails, but before he could say anything, Kami said, I know that you would choose to stay with Naruto, so when I summoned you I merged all the tailed beasts and made you the new 10-tailed, but unfortunately you won't be keeping the power, as you world need the Biju to protect it in case something happens and the ninjas can't handle it, as you Biju S or its guardians, and every world has something like this. Then she held out her hands, and in flash of light there was a lifeless dummy replica of Kurama. Then Kami waved her hand. And Kurama turned into a ball of light, and then it split in two. One went into the replica, then it disappeared, and the other one went into Naruto, and before Naruto could voice his concerns, the goddess continued. Don't worry, I put 2 very special seals on the new guardian. One stops people trying to steal his chakra and the other one prevents him being sealed. End flashback. Well, that explains where the Biju went. Only you can cause something that like Naruto, Bunta said to Naruto. Naruto just laughed and said, well, I have to find a way to annoy Ba-chan and Arosani now that I am dead on that earth. The chief toad laughed, then turned to the goblin and said, anyway, I am sure that there have been people who was nice to him but ended up betraying him, and I know some legends about goblin greedy and nasty. No offense, King Ragnarok. None taken, Ragnarok simply said. And I know Naruto has some kind of empath ability thanks to the fox, so even though he knows he can trust you, he has had to live with that kind of treatment. How would you turn out? Bunta asked. I see your point, and because of his empath powers and what goblins are by nature, I would be like Noble Potter, Ragnarok said. Now on to business, Bunta said, then turned to Ragnarok and said, now Ragnarok, Naruto told us that someone is diverting his mail from your bank and that he wants us to be your messenger. Well, Chief Gamabunta, I didn't even know that Noble Potter had something like this, so I didn't know he talked to you about, Ragnarok said. Mind if I talk to the Gama elders before we talk, Ragnarok, Bunta said. Of course, take you time, Chief Gamabunta and Toad elders, Ragnarok said, and the 3 toads hopped away. After about 10 minutes the toads came back and 2 little toads hopped over. One was green toad with white hair styled in somewhat of a mohawk, Very thick eyebrows and a small goatee, and the other has a green underside with purple marking around her mouth and the back of her body. The top of her head looks as though she is wearing a hair net with hair rollers underneath, giving her an old woman look, and the green one said, "Greetings Ragnarok, I am Fukasaku and this is Shima and are the elders of the Gamma clan." "Greeting Elder Fukasaku and Elder Shima, have you made your decision?" Ragnarok asked. "We have, and we agree to be your messenger Ragnarok for two reasons. The first and the most important is we care about Naruto like we did with his original father, and that someone is trying to control the boy is inexcusable, as Naruto has told us how a wizard bank works and is like a storage seal, and the boy might want something from the vault that might be important. And the other reason, simple put, we are more curious about the world that the boy is now a part of," Fukasaku said, and for the next 5 to 10 minutes the Gamma elders and the Goblin King negotiated. Then Fukasaku handed Ragnarok a parchment and said, "When you need a messenger, just channel some of your magic and it will summon a toad. Now our business is finished, we will send you back." And both Naruto and Ragnarok disappeared in the same way they appeared. Gringotts Ragnarok's office. The duo just appeared in Ragnarok's office when the door opened and the goblin that went to get the test for Naruto walked up to Ragnarok and said, "Here is the test for Noble Potter, your majesty." Ragnarok took the test and said, "Thank you." Then he turned to Naruto and said, "Now Noble Potter, this test is like the identification test you did last year but a bit more detailed. For example, the identification test shows the name of someone normal name like your did, but this test will show your name like normal but also shows your parents' true and given name, also shows your grandparents as well as your titles you have and gain and tell as any and all abilities or powers you have. Do you understand?" And Naruto nodded. Then Ragnarok said, "Now all we need for you to put a few more drops of blood onto the parchment." Naruto nodded and did as instructed. Name: Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Naruto Potter. DOB. The 10th of October 1555, DU, the 31st of July 1999, current. Father: Minato Namikaze, DU, James Potter, current. Mother: Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, DU, Lily McGonagall, Evans Potter, current. Maternal grandparents: Minerva McGonagall and Uncle Chan. Paternal grandparents: Fleemont Potter and Euphemia Potter. Paternal ancestors: Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, Ignotus Peverell, Linfred of Stinchcombe. Godfather: Jiraiya, DU, Sirius Black, current. Heir by inheritance: House Uzumaki, DU, Namikaze, DU, House Potter, House Peverell, House Gryffindor, House Hufflepuff, House Ravenclaw. Heir by conquest: House Slytherin. Titles claimed: Heir to House of Potter, Heir to House of Peverell, Heir to House of Gryffindor, Heir to House of Hufflepuff, Heir to House of Ravenclaw, Heir to House of Slytherin, Lord of Shotokan. Titles to gain: Lord Potter, Lord Peverell, Lord Gryffindor, Lord Hufflepuff, Lord Ravenclaw, Lord Slytherin. Abilities: Powers born: Elemental manipulation, Illusion, Strength enhancing, Speed enhancing, Surface walking, Parseltonge, Transformation. 2 types: Metamorphmagie, Werfox, Empath. Abilities: Powers gained: Levitation, Telekinesis, Super Strength, Invisibility, Super Speed, Astral Projection, Combustion, Animation, Healing, Regeneration, Shapeshifting into any known animal, Muggle, Magical or Prehistoric, Immortality, Rejuvenation, Heat Vision, Spiritual Balance, Kai Magic. When both Naruto and Ragnarok looked at the parchment, the latter said, "Well, that is quite something. Not in your teens yet and quite powerful already though. Can I ask you a few questions?" Naruto, not seeing any harm, said, "Sure, ask away, then I will ask the questions that I have." "Well, I see a few things on here that I can't make heads or tails with, so what is the difference in the strength and speed enhancing to the ones you gained?" Ragnarok asked. "Well, the enhancing ones require me to pump my chakra into my muscles, and how strong or fast I become depends on how much chakra I am putting in, and it needs to be constant flow, whereas the super ones multiples one's own by 10 to 20 times, Naruto explained. "Right, what about the Lord of Shadow Khan, and what is a Shadow Khan?" asked the Goblin King. "The Shotokan are tribes of ninja-like, shadow spirit warriors from the Shadow Realm. While some are reminiscent of ninjas, most others simply look like red-eyed, blue-skinned creatures wearing black suits," Naruto said, then summoned one of the 9 Khans. "Okay, next question, what does surface walking mean?" Ragnarok asked. "That is simple, if I add chakra to my feet I can walk on any flat surface," Naruto said, then demonstrated by walking up to a wall, then walked up it, then the ceiling, then down the other wall, then he sat back down and said, "Anything else, Ragnarok?" "Last one, what is Kai magic, Ragnarok?" "Well, it is magic that Muggle can use as they know how to," Naruto answered. "Okay, that is all my question. Now for your questions, Noble Potter," Ragnarok asked. "Okay, first question is, I am the heir to multiple houses, do I need to take multiple wives?" Naruto asked. "That is an excellent question, Noble Potter, but yes you do, but you need to take no more than 2 wives per house," Ragnarok said. "Okay, my next question is, do I have any marriage contracts?" Naruto asked, then he said, "Shadow Clone Jutsu," then the clone said, "Henge." "Yes you do," Ragnarok said as he picked a parchment, reading it, then said, Now you have 3 outstanding. One was made by your paternal grandfather. To the Delacour we have one. You as the oldest Potter and Daphne Greengrass may be your father. To the Greengrass between their oldest daughter and the Potter's oldest son before the Potters discovered they can't have children. And lastly there is one between you and a Ginevra Weasley made by Albus Dumbledore and Molly Pruitt. So that is why Molly has been putting love potion in your food and drink, Naruto, Lily said to her son. You're properly correct about that, Ka-chan, Naruto said to his mother, then turned to the goblin and said, is there a way to dissolve the contract between me and Ginny? Ragnarok looks at Naruto then shook his head and said, unfortunately noble Potter there is not. You see the contract was made thanks to someone who thinks he is your magical guardian even though that is false, but as he is a powerful wizard so the magic that makes the contract powerful and the only thing that can dissolve the contract is the head of the Potter house. Then could I dissolve the contract? Lily asked. Ragnarok said while thinking then said, you might be able to Mrs. Potter as you are the wife of the late James Potter so until noble Potter is of age you are the acting head of the ancient and noble Potter house so do you know what to do? Lily nodded then said, I Lily Potter wife of the late James Potter acting head to the Potter house dissolved the marriage contract between Naruto Potter and Ginevra Weasley so mote it be. When she finished she knew something was wrong as she was out of breath and sweaty. Ragnarok looked at the contract and saw that it had been dissolved and said, congratulations Mrs. Potter you did it. And when he saw the stat Lily was in he said, you look a mess Mrs. Potter though I can hazard a guess as to why you were like that. So can I Chief Ragnarok. This is not my body so my connection to my magic is not there so I don't have it however because this is my son's body there is a connection to my body and the connection is strong enough that I can use my magic but to use it takes its toll one this clone's body, Lily said. Ragnarok nodded and said, my hypothesis exactly Mrs. Potter you can disperse now we goblin may have a nasty reputation even we wouldn't want to piss of our most important client and after seeing what he is capable of I don't want to piss him of. Thank you Chief Ragnarok, Lily said before the clone popped. Any more question noble Potter? Ragnarok asked. I have 2 more. The first is how do I activate the werewolf's genes? Naruto asked. My best guess would me get bitten by a werewolf and the other question, Ragnarok asked. What is a metamorphmagie? Naruto asked. It is a rare ability that allows someone to change their appearance at will kinda like your henjutsu, Ragnarok answered. Cool, Naruto said before saying, thank you Chief Ragnarok you have been helpful today. It is no problem noble Potter I will let Mrs. Molly Weasley know that the marriage contract has been dissolved. Think you could wait until I go back to school? Naruto asked. May I ask why? Ragnarok asked. Because the last thing I need is Molly putting more love potions in my food and drink to the point that I am admitted to a magical hospital due to love potion poisoning as I am not sure the horse talisman will help with that, Naruto said. I see your point okay I will wait till you are back at Hogwarts, Ragnarok said as he showed Naruto out. End of flashback. After Naruto finished telling his grandmother about what happened at Gringotts Minerva hugged her grandson and said, well you seem to have an eventful summer. You could saw that, Naruto said. Now it makes sense you about Hogwarts it's not the school that you own but it is the grounds that Hogwarts is on and just so you know you don't have to go back to the Dursleys, Minerva said. Actually I think it would be best if I did as I would like Dumbledore thinks he can still manipulate me and I want to make sure that Aunt Petunia is okay as in no Marge is going over there and she might say something about Ka-chan that might set Auntie off, Naruto replied. Minerva was now confused and said, wait Naruto why would Petunia be annoyed over something that this Marge would say as I was sure that she hated Lily which started out as jealousy. A slight misunderstanding true she was jealousy that Ka-chan was a witch but one night Auntie overheard Gigi and Ba-chan say that Lily was adopted and then there was the fact that some guy named Severus was picking on Auntie as she is a muggle and Snape and Ka-chan was a witch and wizard and Ka-chan only found this out at the start of summer as she used the sheep to enter a sleeping Auntie and they chatted and they made up, Naruto replied. I see because Petunia doesn't know about your talisman powers, she doesn't know that Lily is alive and so she thinks she can't make up with her and because she thinks it is a dream she finally let go of that jealousy, Minerva said before saying now Naruto off to bed. Okay Ba-chan night, Naruto said as he got and headed to the door to head back to the Gryffindor Tower. Naruto got to the door when his grandmother said, oh yeah Naruto what did you want to talk about? That can wait for another time as it was about a marital room, Naruto said. I see it is because of your marriage contract to Miss Greengrass current, and Naruto nodded, and you want to at least get to know her first right. After nodding Naruto said, I may not believe in marriage by contract but that does not stop me from trying to get to know the person and seeing if I fall for them and I will tell them that I need a minimum of 6 wives. Minerva smiled and said, that's good now to bed with you, and as Naruto was heading to the door once more he heard his grandmother say, oh and another thing I don't want you to look for a werewolf to see if their virus activates your werewolf's genes okay. No need to worry Ba-chan I don't need to look for one as I am sure I will meet one thanks to my kind of luck the question isn't about me looking for one it's when I run into one, Naruto said with his fox-like grin. And that is why I am worried. I just found out my daughter is somewhat okay and you are my grandson, so off cause I am going to worry even if you are immortal thanks to the dog, Minerva said, and with a quick night from both parties Naruto headed to the Gryffindor Tower. When Naruto got into the common room, he was met with an angry Ron who saw Naruto and said, "You bastard, you got me in trouble." Naruto looks at Ron with a confused look and said, "Come again, how did I get you in trouble?" You told on me about me taking the car," Ron said. "And how on earth was I getting out of telling Amelia Bones and Tonks where you went?" Naruto asked. "Well, you could have come with me," Ron said. "And risk of getting expelled? No thanks, I would rather get in trouble for being late than something that could get me expelled, so you got in trouble all on your own, so fuck off as I am going to bed," Naruto said. It has been a few days since Hogwarts started the first term and he is currently in the one class he was dreading, Defense Against the Dark Arts, or DADA for short, and when the door to the professor's office opened and the teacher came out he said, "Hello, I am sure you all already know me, but I will introduce myself anyway. I am Gilderoy Lockhart, Order of Merlin 3rd class honorary member of the Dark Forces Defense League and 5-time winner of Witch's Weekly Most Charming Smile, and all the girls are all signing in a heavenly way including Hermione," which Naruto didn't seem to like. Kurama felt and saw that Naruto was jealous, said, "Careful kid, your powers might act up if you get even more jealous." While the professor was handing out some quiz sheet he handed Hermione a couple to Hermione who get a bit bashful, and the 10-tailed fox was proven right as the rat appeared in Naruto's eyes and the skeleton that was hanging from the ceiling moved and growled, then stopped scaring everyone in the classroom, but the professor, in order to take credit, said, "Nothing to worry about, it's just a simple spell that I know that can make skeletons move and act as if it was alive," then continued to hand the quiz sheets out. Hermione knew that it wasn't a spell that made the skeleton move, looked back at Naruto who was rubbing his eyes, and when he was done, he looked over to her and she saw the rat flashing in Naruto's eyes. When Gilderoy finished handing the questions out he stood by his desk and said, "You have 30 minutes, and when all the students had a quill in their hands he said, "Start." Naruto read the questions and thought, what kind of questions are these? The Shinobi Academy had better questions and they was still stupid. "I agree, Naruto," Lily said as she has been seeing what Naruto's past life was like. "So, what are you going to do, Kit?" the fox asked. "The only thing I usually do with this kind of test," Naruto replied. "And what is that?" Lily asked. "Take a nap," came Naruto's response as he placed the questions to one side, crossed his arms, rested his head on his arms and closed his eyes. After the test time, Gilderoy was looking through the quiz and said, "I am disappointed that hardly anyone knows that lilac is my favorite, but Miss Hermione Granger knew that my secret ambition is to rid the world of evil and also market my own brand of potions for hair care, although I must say that I am very disappointed in the famous Naruto Potter, as he not only didn't he answer a single question but he didn't bother filling in his name. Now son, why didn't you answer?" Naruto, who was still sleeping, didn't answer. Next to him Ron was smirking as he jolted Naruto awake and said, "I didn't it," making everyone but the some of the Slytherins. Professor Lockhart said, "I know you didn't do the quiz, now I am asking why didn't you even attempt it to do it?" "Oh, you mean that sorry excuse of a test that deserves to be taken by your fangirls? Then I will gladly answer. I didn't think it was worth answering as none of the questions in question is a dada topic. After all, what is knowing what your favorite color and ambitions do us if when we face against someone who would be trying to hurt us?" Naruto answered before sitting down and receiving glares from most of the girls, but Naruto was unaffected by the glares due to what his past was like. Acting as if nothing had happened, Gilderoy said, "Now it is my job to arm you against some of the most foulest creatures known to wizard kind. Some of you might just face your worst nightmares." "I am having one of my worst nightmares right now," Naruto mumbled. "Now I must ask you not to scream," the professor said as he went to a covered-up cage, tapped it a little with his wand and grabbed the top, pulled it while saying, "As it might provoke them, reviling blue creatures with wings." Seamus laughed and said, "Cornish pixies." "Freshly caught Cornish pixies," Lockhart said, causing most of the class to laugh. "Please don't tell me he is going to do what I think he is going to do," Naruto thought as he steadily went for his wand. "I think he might, Naruto," Lily said. "If the dumbass does, then that is a special kind of dumb, and I would also feel sorry for you, kid. Out of the two you had, I would prefer Voldemort," Kurama said. "I would too," Naruto said. Then the professor opened the cage and the pixies all rushed out, causing all the students to panic. After a couple of minutes, the only people who was in the class was Naruto, Hermione, Neville who was hanging from the chandelier, and the professor who looked lost. One of the pixies grabbed Hermione. She said, "Let go of me," while shaking her head trying to get the pixie to let go. "Hermione, stay still," Naruto said, and when Hermione stopped moving, Naruto swag a book he was holding and swatted the pixie, then said, "I have had enough of this." Then the rabbit appeared in his eyes, then he grabbed the cage, rounded up the pixies, and once the pixies was in the cage, the rooster appeared in his eyes, then gently brought Neville down. Then the trio walked out the door and Naruto was trying to convince Hermione that Gilderoy was a shit professor. It is the weekend and the Gryffindor Quidditch team was heading to the pitch for practice when they run into the Slytherin team and the captain handed Wood a note telling them that the Slytherin team need it as they need to train their seeker, which turned out to be Malfoy, who said, "That right, I am the new Slytherin team's seeker, and that is not all that is new this year, and the team showed their new brooms, because my father can afford the best." Naruto started to laugh so that it caught his friend's attention, who was waiting to watch the practice, and when they got there Hermione asked, "What is so funny, Naruto?" Calming down a little, Naruto said, "Not much, just Malfoy telling us that he just paid his way on to the Slytherin Quidditch team," before laughing again. Getting mad at what Naruto just said, "Hey, I did not buy my way onto the team." "Really, would your father give the Slytherin team the latest broom if you didn't want to join the team?" Neville asked. "Of course not, why would he waste money?" Malfoy asked. "That would be the definition of buying your way into the something," Hermione said. "Well, nobody asked you, you filthy mudblood," Malfoy said. Naruto heard what Malfoy said, stopped laughing immediately, and there was a chill in the air, and Naruto walked up to Malfoy, but you couldn't see his eyes, and said, "What did you just, Hermione?" Malfoy smirked and said, "I called her for what she really is, filthy mudblood who doesn't even deserve to be at this noble school like all mudbloods." Naruto grabbed Malfoy by his jumper, lifted him up, and Naruto looked at Malfoy dead in the eyes, which scared the latter, as Naruto's eyes wasn't his normal blue, they were blood red and slitted like a fox, then said, "Now you listen to me, and you better listen good, cause I will not repeat myself, okay? Never, and I never call Hermione a mudblood with me around, otherwise you will be in the infirmary." When Naruto finished, orange bubbles like substance was coming out of Naruto's skin and forming some kind of cloak, and it burned Malfoy a little, but it was agony to him. Naruto stopped, and after about a minute he blinked, shook his head, then the cloak dispersed, then said, "Sorry about that, Tem, well, I better disappear." Then he disappeared in a swell of fire. Hermione quickly took off to look for Naruto, leaving both Quidditch teams confused before the Slytherin team remembered Malfoy was somehow brunt by Naruto and getting him to the infirmary, leaving the Gryffindor team, and Neville and Wood said, "Hey Neville, right," and got a nod. "So got any idea was that cloak-like thing was?" "No, I don't, that is the first time I saw it," Neville replied before running after Hermione. Hermione, who was running quickly, turned a corner and run into someone, and the collision caused both Hermione and the other person to fall on their asses. The other person said, "Blimey girl, what is the rash?" Hermione looked up and saw that she had run in Tonks and said, "Hey, you're the girl that brought Naruto here and on recon for that warning Naruto received." "That is me, and you must be Hermione. Naruto talks about you sometimes. What was the rush about?" Tonks asked. And so, Hermione told Tonks what just happened, and when Hermione finished, Neville showed up and said, "Found Naruto yet, Hermione?" Hermione shook her head and said, "No Nev, I have not, as I run into Tonks here and just finished telling her what happened. So do you have any ideas where he might be?" Before Neville or Tonks could say anything, Professor McGonagall showed up and said, "Hello Miss Granger and Mr. Longbottom, I was just looking for you too." "Why was you looking for us, Professor? Last I checked, me and Neville haven't done anything wrong," Hermione said. "I know neither of you have done nothing wrong, but I am sure both of you know why Kurama was in control of my grandson," asked Naruto's grandmother. Both Hermione and Neville looked confused as to who the professor's grandson was. Tonks was wondering who Kurama was, asked, "Professor, who is Kurama?" "Oh, Naruto might not have told you about it, but he is something called a Jinchuriki, a human that hold a living being inside of them, and Naruto hold a 10-tailed fox called Kurama," Minerva said. "Wait, Naruto is your grandson?" Neville asked. "Yes, he is, and can you please keep it a secret?" asked the professor, and the trio nodded. Then she said, "Now come on, we will go to my office and you can tell me what happened." And so Minerva headed to her office with Tonks, Hermione and Neville following close behind her. When the group of four got to Professor's office, they saw Naruto on a chair passed out, and Hermione walk over to Naruto and mumbled, "What happened outside?" Naruto then went to stroke a few strands of hair, but the moment she touched his head her world went dark, then she collapses, causing the others to panic. "Do you know what happened to Hermione, Professor?" asked unnerved Neville. "I think I do, Mr. Longbottom. Someone or something pulled her into Naruto's mindscape," the professor answered. "Cool, I want to know what a mindscape and what pulled Hermione," Tonks said as she reached for Naruto's forehead and her world went dark, then she collapsed. "What are we going to do, Professor?" Neville asked. "Well, I want to know what happened that caused Kurama to take over Naruto, and there has to be something that you must want to find out about Naruto," the professor said. "Well, I am curious about the 10-tailed fox and what that bubbly stuff was," Neville said. "That good, Neville. Now how about we touch his head together?" asked the professor, and Neville nodded, and at the same time the duo touched Naruto, and like the two before them their world went dark, then collapses. Naruto's mindscape. When Minerva and Neville got their bearings, they was in an office with Hermione and Tonks, and before anyone could say anything the door to the office opened and Lily came in and said, "Hi everyone and welcome to Naruto's mindscape." Minerva walked up to Lily and, "Hello Lily, can you forgive me for leaving at an orphanage all those years ago?" "Of course I do. I know you was either going through a tough time or had a good reason to do it, Mother," Lily said before saying, "Boy, saying that feels weird." Minerva smiled and said, I am sure it does, but can you please take us to see Naruto as we have something to discuss? Of course you are. Well, he is on his way to talk to Kurama about the tailed beast cloak, so I will take you there, Lily said. Then she lead the group to wherever Kurama was. The group just exit the building when Hermione asked, Hey Mrs. Potter, what is this place? It looks like it is from Japan, the feudal era. Please call me Lily dear, and this is Konoha Naruto home village from his past life, Lily replied. Man, when he told me that his world was like feudal Japan, I didn't believe him, but seeing it tell me otherwise, Neville said. Same with me too, Hermione said. After a little more walking, the group was almost on top of mountain that overlooks the village, and Tonks noticed something. Hey Lily, is it always sunset here? So you noticed, Tonks, and there is a reason for it which you will see in a minute, Lily said as they got on top of the monument and they saw the most beautiful anyone could see the village and then trees around it set in a golden glow thanks to the ever-setting sun, and they had a look of wonder. And when Lily saw the looks she said, I know right, I had the same look the first time I saw it. This was Naruto's favorite place in his other life. Then she led them into a cave. They had been in the cave for a few minutes when the group saw 10 stone statues. One was appeared to be hanging on the cave wall, and it was of body absent of it limbs and wrapped up in a swirl with it head in the center with 12 octagonal shaped stone with an animal carved in then in a semicircle under its head, while the other statues was freestanding. The next statue was the most human looking of the batch, which was clad in ninja-like clothing and sporting weapons such as shuriken and katanas and had a label saying Ninja Con. The next statue was somewhat human-like, but it had pointed legs and blades for fingers with a label saying Razor Con. The statue after that was the only one that possessed wings and only one eye with a label saying Bat Con. The next statue after that was incredibly huge and muscular and looked the strongest and most durable of the lot, and the label said Sumo Con. The statue after that looked like samurai but dressed in black armor equipped with blades and with a tag saying Samurai Con. That statue after that was the scariest looking one out the lot, and it had 2 tentacle-like arms. And the label said Squid Con. The next statue had a crab-like pincer arm and an arm resembling a claw, and the label said Crab Con. The statue after that was the smallest one, and the label said Mini Con, and the last one resembling praying mantises with a label saying Mantis Con. Then they heard, I am telling you kid, it is true that since your birth in this life, but I am not sure why after all Kami did made me powerless. After a few seconds Naruto had a thought and said, maybe she just took you powers, but she didn't say that you was, so maybe if I can find or make something I can give you a body on the real world and you can see how wonderful this world it from your own 2 fox eyes, and if you were attacked then you wouldn't be defenseless. That sounds like a plausible reason, Brad. I am surprised this place didn't heat up with that good thought you had just now, Kurama joked. Well, I could turn your cave into a lava bed if you want more heat, Naruto joked back, and they both laughed before he was tackled from behind and faceplanted the ground, causing the fox to laugh even harder when Naruto said, Hey Hermione. Naruto, what was that thing with Malfoy, Hermione? Oh, that don't worry about it, Hermione. It is or was quite common for people who have things like Fluffy behind me sealed into them, and it is called the tailed beast cloak, and I don't feel sorry about Malfoy getting a chakra burn, Naruto replied. And then 3 visitors looked and saw the gigantic fox and was terrified of it, causing the fox to laugh. After calming down and before Hermione or Neville could ask Naruto or Kurama any questions, Minerva asked, Alright, can you tell me what happened and what is a chakra burn? Naruto then told his grandmother what happened at the Quidditch pitch and what a chakra burn was and the only way to get one, then went into what a chakra cloak was. When Naruto was done, Hermione asked, Naruto, why did you bet you get so pissed when Malfoy called me a mudblood? I can answer that as there are 2 reasons. The first is when someone has something like me sealed into them, they gain some of the animal's instincts and traits of that animal, like cats like the milk and foxes being tricksters and pranksters, which increases his natural ones that he got from Kushina, Kurama said. I kinda get it now, but that still doesn't answers my question, Hermione said. I am getting to that. The other reason is only Minerva knows this, but Naruto is a werewolf, and even though the cells for it is dormant, he still has the fox instincts. Now think about this, Hermione, as you are smart. When does a canine like wolf or fox get aggressive? Kurama said. Hermione did as the fox instructed and began to think when a fox would become aggressive. Then she said, the only times that I can think of when a fox would become aggressive like that, the first few I doubt would be that intense, and the only time that intense would be in order to protect its mate. And there you have your answer, Kurama said. Wait, you mean to tell me that Naruto loved me? Hermione said when she realized what the fox meant. Naruto heard what Hermione said, got annoyed, said, Hey, I would appreciate it if you didn't talk like I am not here, Hermione, and I do have feeling for you, just not sure how strong they are, so can we talk about this when we are in the real world and alone? Sure, Hermione said as she is fighting back a blush and seemed to be losing the fight, causing everyone to laugh. For the next few hours the group chatted, then it was time to get back into the real world, so they said their goodbyes. Then the 4 visitors along with the owner began to fade. Real world. The group woke up and gained their bearings when Minerva said, Okay Naruto, Hermione and Neville, I will deal with Professor Snape, and Naruto, I want you to keep that temper under control, and I know it might be hard but you need to try. Okay Ba-chan, for you I will try, Naruto replied. Alright, you lot, get on with what you was doing, Minerva said. When Naruto, his friends, and Tonks exit the deputy's office, Tonks asked, "Hey Naruto, do you know when the threat would start?" "If I had to guess, it might happen on All Hallows Eve," Naruto said. "Okay then," Tonks said. Then she went on her own way.